Good evening, everyone. We're going to give it a couple minutes to wait for attendees who are trickling in, and then we'll get started in a few. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the East South Central and West South Central webinar, the final FuturePedsRes regional webinar of the PedsMatch 2024 series. If you're with us for the first time, welcome. If you've attended previous webinars, thank you for joining us again. My name is Estelle Green. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth-year medical student at the Penn State College of Medicine in the University Park curriculum located in the Happy Valley of State College, Pennsylvania. And I am serving as one of the co-directors for FuturePedsRes this year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Geico. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm currently a fourth-year medical student at Virginia College of Osteopathic Medicine in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I'm also serving as one of your co-directors for FuturePedsRes this year. We will be having a wrap-up webinar in the coming week, and the topic will be interview prep. We know you all would love to join us, so please feel free to scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the chat to sign up and join us.
We are also excited to share with you another webinar in collaboration with the AAP section on Pediatrics training. They'll be discussing ERAS application finances on Tuesday, September 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The objective of this webinar will be to provide insight into managing expenses, specifically pertaining to the cost associated with the application cycle. We understand these concerns can compound to the stress associated with ERAS and rotations, and we hope that we'll be able to alleviate some of those mental strains with our discussions. To register, again, feel free to scan the QR code on the screen or click the Zoom link in your chat.
And we'd like to take a moment to share Concept's Open House Hub on their website. It highlights various program open houses, including their Zoom links, all in one convenient location. Please feel free to scan the QR code or click the link in the chat.
Now, before we start, we would like to acknowledge our APPD faculty advisor, Dr. Michael Dell, who is the Vice Chair of Education at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine, as well as Colin Hughes, who serves as the Associate Executive Director for the APPD. We would also like to acknowledge our Concept faculty advisor, Dr. Rachel Thompson, who is the Assistant Professor of Pediatrics and Director of Pediatric Undergraduate Medical Education at the Boston University Trevanian and Abbott Division School of Medicine. These individuals have made tonight possible, and we're very grateful for their support.
It is now our pleasure to introduce you all to the Assistant Director of Webinars for the East South Central and West South Central region, Nicole Cox. She is currently a third-year medical student at Virginia College of Osteopathic Medicine in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Catherine. We would also like to introduce our FPR Webinar Associate Director, Denise, who is working hard behind the scenes tonight. Now let's dive into our goals for the night. Welcome everyone joining us tonight. We are so excited to have everyone at the East South Central and West South Central Regional Webinar, and we are grateful for all the program directors and assistants, as well as coordinators and residents who have taken the time out of tonight to be with us. Our series goals for the webinar are providing pediatric residency applicants with foundational knowledge surrounding the virtual interview season, well-rounded insight into the benefits of programs by region, and devoted time for live Q&As. We will be transitioning into our breakout rooms shortly. In each room, applicants will be able to learn about some of the programs and ask questions near the end. All of the breakout rooms are recorded, so if you are interested in learning about another program that is not in your own breakout room, you can check out the YouTube channel later for the recordings. After that, we will move to our resident happy hour. During the resident happy hour, there will be residents and applicants in breakout rooms to connect, discuss, and get firsthand information about the various programs. Please feel free to grab a beverage or snack for some fun conversations. Please note that the resident happy hour portion is not going to be recorded. Before we proceed, let's welcome the APPD representative for the East South Central and West South Central regional states, Dr. Monique Nave. She is going to share some information and qualities about the East South Central and West South Central region. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nicole. They gave you the hard job of trying to say my last name. Sorry about that. I'm Monique Nave. I'm the program director at the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center in Oklahoma City. And I am really excited to tell you a little bit about our region. My husband lovingly refers to our group of states as the flyover states. And I'm going to tell you the flyover states have a lot to offer. Just about everybody who might dare to try to live here. Next slide. So it's the regions for APPD are considerably different than the regions for ERAS. And APPD, for those, I think you all know at this point, the Association of Pediatric Program Directors, of which, by the way, there are something like 207 pediatric programs in the United States. At any one time, 199 to 205 of them are members of the APPD. So it is really an all-encompassing just about organization for pediatric program directors. But the regions for East and West South Central APPD regions are actually the Mid-America region, which houses 26 residency programs, the Midwest region, which has 29, the Southeast, which has 44, and the Southwest, which is really just Texas and has 13. So you see just the colorful map there. Oklahoma is technically in the Midwest region. And I have loved being part of the APPD for the last 12 or 13 or more years. Next slide. So what I did is I tried to add beautiful pictures that represented places in some of the states that are included in the regions in this webinar, and you'll see just the identification of where the picture was taken down below. Of course, I've moved my pictures to cover that up. So this represents Kentucky. Program characteristics in our regions, really, you can get just about anything you want. Programs are academic or community-based or hybrid. I will tell you there are very few purely community-based programs. I think Tulsa is still considered a community-based program, the pediatric residency program in Tulsa, although I may be slightly mistaken, they may be hybrid. There are hospitals, children's hospitals, both freestanding and integrated with adult towers that are nationally and globally recognized for their pediatric expertise. We are all staunch advocates for all children. That's one of the hallmarks. Some of us in some of our states have lots of opportunity for advocacy, and we've learned a lot from some of the experts who have come to help us advocate on behalf of children in our state. There are a wide variety of educational and research opportunities beyond the traditional curricula that the residency programs offer as well. Next slide. Yeah, residents tend to be caring and compassionate. I suspect this is true everywhere. In our states, the flyover states, lovingly called, they are often friendly, kind-hearted, humble as well as devoted. I think it's hard to be a pediatric resident without being devoted. Next slide. These are some of the Texas bluebonnets, y'all. They're really nice. Patient characteristics. We do serve diverse populations. Patients often come from a variety of home environments, including urban, suburban, and rural. One of the challenges that we face in Oklahoma is that we are pretty much the center. We have sort of the whole west side of the state, and Tulsa has a fair number of services as well. But it's interesting to sort of try to figure out how you're going to send someone 3 or 4 hours away with a significant either technology dependence or other complex medical needs. So there's lots of problem solving. We have large immigrant populations, especially from Central America, but we also have a fairly large population of patients who come to us from Southeast Asia and Africa. Next slide. I will say this is Beavers Bend. This is in Oklahoma. It's the sort of the southeast corner of the state. It's really quite beautiful there. You'll have 4 seasons to enjoy your favorite outdoor activities. Yes, we do have winter. Some of us in our states have more snow than others. We actually get a fair bit here in Oklahoma, but it's not so much that you wish you didn't have it. We have relatively easy accessibility to outdoor adventures. Very affordable cost of living, generally higher resident salaries, and family and community are part of our culture. It's just the nature of who we are. I think that's my last slide. Yep.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation of what the East South Central and West South Central region has to offer. I would now like to introduce all of our participating programs for tonight. So attendees, please take a moment to pull out your phones and snap a picture of your screen to easily refer back to when you're bouncing around breakout rooms. This slide is going to remain shared in the main room during the entire webinar. So now we will be going into our breakout rooms. Throughout the webinar, you can ask questions. Okay, so welcome everyone to Breakout Room 1. My name is Nicole Cox. I am a third-year medical student at Virginia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I'm super excited to be your moderator this evening. I would like to invite our program representatives to give a short presentation about their programs for 5 minutes for the first part of the evening. And then after, we will take questions once the presentations are done. Attendees, you can leave your questions in the chat as we go, and we encourage programs to make use of the chat to answer any questions in case we run out of time. To ensure that all programs are adequately represented, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So when you hear this noise, that signifies that you have 30 seconds remaining. So now let's get started. Our first program of the evening is University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences College of Medicine. I would like to invite your representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hey everybody, I'm Oriaku Casasok. I'm the program director, and I'm here with my program coordinator, Lee Austin. Just briefly, just so everybody knows, I am not originally from Arkansas. So for me to be here coming from the West Coast, you know, it's got to be better than you expected. There's lots of great things that our program has to offer, but first and foremost, I definitely want to say that Little Rock is a nice little hidden gem. A lot of people don't know about it, especially if you're not from Arkansas. It has a lot of great things to offer, from hiking to lakes to rivers to a great food scene. It's got a nice little quaint downtown. I'm originally from Las Vegas, so you can imagine what the difference is, but it offers a lot of fun stuff to do, and the residents seem to have a great time hanging out with each other and finding new things all the time. We are the only children's hospital in Arkansas with a large catchment area. So we get people not just from Arkansas, but from the neighboring states as well. You're going to see a large underserved population with a huge growing Latinx population, which is huge for us. And a lot of our residents are really interested in serving that community. And we even have a small little niche private community clinic that we go to that services that particular population where they live. It's a nice place to raise a family or to build one, whichever stage in life you are at. For those that aren't aware, I just had a little baby and it's my first. And so it has been a blessing to be here and be taken under people's wing, and they take really good care of me as well as my baby. So it's really nice. We're huge on wellness. Wellness is super important for us. So we strive to take opportunities to give residents time away from work and what that looks like, giving them opportunities to They just did a cycling class. Some people go and do painting. There's lots of opportunities that we put out there for the residents, and we're trying to increase those as we go along. And then just thinking about in general, our hopes are to grow even bigger, but we are a large residency program. So if that is something you are looking for, we already have that established. We do have a ton of subspecialties, which are well represented. So you're going to get a lot of advanced experiences when you are on those different rotations. I'm going to turn it over to Lee in case you have anything else to add.
Hey guys, I'm Lee Austin. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, so born and bred. And it is quite funny as when you compare Las Vegas downtown to Little Rock downtown, it is a lot smaller. But I really appreciate what Dr. Cass pointed out was that we are kind of not a lot of people know about us, but if you were into the outdoors, if you like to be able to get to work within 20 minutes, if you don't want to really fight a ton of traffic, if you're looking for affordable living and affordable housing within a residency budget, I would definitely say that we should be toward the top of your list. I encourage you to check out our website and our Instagram, especially because as Dr. Cass said, our residents are really out and about and they like to go and, catch a movie, get dinner, go bowling, fantasy football, like all the different things around town. And we usually post about all the fun stuff we do online. But in the nitty-gritty details, if you do have any specific questions about our program that are not covered here on this infographic, please, just reach out to us, check out our website, or just send us a message on Insta. We'd be happy to respond. And yeah, I think that's it.
We did not get the buzzer.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing about your program. Our next program is University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center, Oklahoma City. So I would like to invite your representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monique Nafee. I'm the program director at OU Health Sciences Center in Oklahoma City, our program. I'm excited to say there are other programs, and I did see, it's funny, actually, our program coordinator, Karen, is on, but she's named as one of our APDs, Dr. Sparkman, and then Dr. Cave is also on one of the other APDs. We are so excited to be back here at the FuturePeds resident webinar again. We loved participating the last couple of years. I have to echo a little bit of what the folks from Arkansas said, in that we think our area is really lovely to live in as well. Tons of outdoor activities. You can be in the mountains hiking within about 45 minutes or less. We have one locale for our primary training site, Oklahoma Children's Hospital. We are all sort of in the same building, which is really lovely, including NICU, newborn nursery, and OB. We have multiple types of continuity clinics, including one that's outlying in the Latino Development Agency called Super Niños. Our program is designed to promote really individual resident observation, reflection, and feedback throughout training. Our goal really is to make you the best doctor that you want to be. We really believe that people should lay their own path, and our job is to help you get there. Oh dear. Sorry. Poorly timed call from my mother. About 40% of our graduating residents go on to pursue a fellowship, and about the other 60% go on to pursue primary care across multiple different settings. We believe our program is inclusive and supportive, and we really work hard to make people feel at home with us. We do have X+Y. I always describe us as a high acuity, high volume setting, and so you really do get to learn a lot about pediatrics in the 3 years that you're with us. You can read the rest of our sort of facts here on the slide. I'm going to just leave one moment for Andy or Karen. Do you guys want to say anything else?
I'll just say hi real quick. I'm Andrew Cave. I'm one of the APDs. I'm also a pediatric cardiologist, and we're real proud of our program and the group of residents, and look forward to hopefully meeting some of y'all on the interview trail. So.
I'll say hi as well. I'm Karen. I'm the program coordinator. I will say that I am not actually from Oklahoma. I've been there for 17 years. I'm from Canada. And the growth in Oklahoma has been exponential. It's really a wonderful place to live, great for families, a lot to do. If you're a foodie, definitely show up. It's wonderful. But it is it is a gem. It's a wonderful place to live. Nice to see all of you.
We didn't get the buzzer either.
Oh, Dr. Sparkman.
Oh, are you on, Amy?
Yeah, I'm Amy Sparkman.
Sorry.
I'm one of the APDs in our program as well. I'm a PEM physician, and I help manage our simulation program and our coaching program. It's so nice to see all of you.
Sorry, Amy, I got confused because Karen was named you.
Thank you so much, all of you guys, for sharing about your program. Our next program is going to be Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences. So I would like your representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to join you this evening. My name's Laura Bodie. I'm the program director for our OMICO and Oklahoma State Pediatrics Residency Program in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we actually have two programs. We have been two programs, the OMICO program and the OSU Center for Health Sciences program, but essentially have been functioning as one program under the Department of Pediatrics at OSU. And this year we are merging our programs and will be renamed OMICO at OSU. Because it's not quite official yet in ERS, we're still listed as the Osteopathic Medical Education Consortium of Oklahoma, OMICO. I know that's a mouthful, but apparently we love to be a little bit complicated. Our sponsoring institution is an osteopathic training institution with affiliation with OSU College of Osteopathic Medicine. So all of our residency positions are designated for osteopathic recognition via the ACGME. This means that we do have a requirement to graduate from an osteopathic medical school or have completed an osteopathic prerequisites, which are on our program website. We're proud to be the only pediatric program with osteopathic recognition. That means that we incorporate osteopathic principles and practices throughout our training. Another thing that sets our program apart is our rural and tribal track. We have 3 additional positions a year to participate in this track, and it's based in beautiful Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which is the capital of the Cherokee Nation, and it's home to our OSU COM branch school campus. It's about an hour east of Tulsa. The track residents get a unique opportunity to do outpatient and inpatient rotations in Indian Health Services hospital and outpatients clinics. And they do rural outpatient experiences as well. So they complete about 40 to 50% of their pediatric training with our pediatric residents in Tulsa at the Children's Hospital at St. Francis. We are a smaller program, so we have 10 residents per class plus 3 residents in the track per class. The program size, I think, creates a nicely balanced community where you really get to know everybody close and become family. From your co-residents, the faculty that you work with, subspecialty faculty, and all the staff. And it also allows for flexibility for individualizing your curriculum for each resident, a collaborative learning environment, and graduated autonomy. The Children's Hospital at St. Francis is our major training site for inpatient and subspecialty experiences. It's a community children's hospital with university affiliations that's attached to St. Francis, which is the largest hospital in Oklahoma. It has the region's leading trauma and pediatric ER, a level 4 NICU and PICU, and numerous subspecialty services. And it's the only children's hospital in Eastern Oklahoma. So we have a wide catchment area with a diverse population. We are committed to honoring the cultural and racial diversity of our patient population to reflect it in our team. We really value training residents with a strong foundation in general pediatric, primary care pediatrics. So we're proud of our outpatient and continuity clinic experiences at OSU Pediatrics Clinic and running our community newborn nursery at OSU Medical Center. So we are a hybrid program. We're lucky to have the resources of an educational institution with the feel of a community program. We have employee assistance program with mental health services, quarterly wellness half days, an annual educational stipend, AOBP board exam reimbursement. We have weekly academic afternoons with quarterly sim labs and OMT workshops. and an advocacy curriculum collaborative with the other Oklahoma pediatric programs. At the hospital, there's free on-site parking, stocked lounge, cafeteria meal card. Our resident workspace is roomy and sunny, and they have too much fun in there probably. And we have nice private call rooms. I think that Tulsa is just an awesome city. The metro area is over 1 million. It's in the heart of green country, Oklahoma. Eastern Oklahoma is pretty green, hilly, and beautiful. The Gathering Place is our most bragged about destination in Tulsa. It's a new giant public park. It's been voted one of the best destinations and parks in the US, right along the Arkansas River, close to downtown. We have a lot of really fun and interesting districts, including downtown, our arts district, Black Wall Street, Cherry Street, Brookside, and lots of suburbs. So there's really something for everybody. There's always something to do. There's always restaurants to try. Tulsa is a great place to be, a young adult or start a family, has a great cost of living, and a really great sense of community, which is a lot like our program. I'd like you to look at our program's Instagram. We always have really a fun crew, so I hope you could see yourself fitting in with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing about your program. Our next program is going to be Texas A&M College of Medicine, the Baylor Scott and White Medical Center. So I would like to invite your program representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
Well, good evening and howdy, everyone. I'm Chris Hovland. I'm the program director. We too have a long name like the previous program. They're actually even a little bit more confusing at times, I think, with all of our names. But I wanted to take a moment and kind of highlight what our program's approach to resident education is all about. Really, our goal is to take medical students and transform them into successful pediatricians. We want to create pediatricians that provide compassionate care for patients, families, and our community while retaining the joy in medicine and academic curiosity. We really go about this aim or mission through our program through our 5 aims that support and uplift our program with all of our backbone of our program. So our program, as it states there, we take a highly individualized approach, kind of a create your own adventure. One of the first things we want to focus on with our residents is to support residents as frontline physicians and also as people with lives outside of medicine. We have an active wellness program within our curriculum. We have monthly wellness meetings. We are also currently, one of our newest projects is creating an environment of appreciation amongst our residents by sharing their language of appreciation in the workplace with all of our faculty, so that faculty can approach our residents with their specific language of appreciation. As far as our other goal is to graduate residents who consistently place in a practice or fellowship of their choice. Roughly 60 to 70% of our graduates enter into primary care, and about 30 to 40% enter into academic fellowships. We have an individualized mentoring advisor system, which all of our new interns are paired up upon the timing right after match. And really we meet periodically throughout residency to kind of build an individualized curriculum and mentor-mentee relationship with all of our residents. We also want to develop lifelong advocates for children in our community and hospital. We are part of AAP nationally, but our big focus is in that advocacy within our own backyard with the Texas Pediatrics Society and in our own local community. Our residents take partnership with our Feed My Sheep Children's Free Clinic. We have every other month or so on average free clinic that we have on a Saturday where we see patients who show up that are underserved or uninsured. And roughly we'll have on average about 30 and sometimes up to 100 patients show up for this clinic. Our program also wants to aim to help support our residents as they make progress towards their board preparation. Through our curriculum, we have a modified X+Y. With that, we have block scheduling with 4 of those blocks that are kind of the X+Y. We have a dedicated half-day academic meeting weekly. During that process, we focus not only on traditional didactics, but also on procedural simulation experiences, again, our wellness that I previously mentioned. We also focus on a leadership and business of medicine series that's done roughly quarterly throughout our academic half day. And then lastly, we want to train pediatricians who we would personally choose to care for our own children and loved ones. As a father and husband, I want to make sure that I would entrust the care of my own children to all of our graduates upon that completion of residency. And that's really what our faculty and our co-residents within our team aim to provide, is that backbone of support so that we can provide that adequate training to develop those critical thinking skills throughout residency so that we can entrust even our own children's care with all of our graduates. And I really think that's what's fantastic about all of our programs within APPD, is we really all have graduates that go on to be able to fulfill this goal within all of our programs. We are, as it mentions, a small size program of roughly 7 residents per class. We're university affiliated, but community based with a standalone children's hospital. We have roughly a 150 bed hospital located right in Temple, Texas. And for those that are maybe unfamiliar with where is Temple, we are kind of right south of Waco, Texas. So if you know Chip and Joanna Gaines, we're just south of there. And we're just about 50 minutes north of Austin. So really a quick drive to all those areas, but we have lots of local diversity with our own parks and trail system, and significant number of things to do outdoors. So I would encourage you to check out our program's Instagram if you're able, and feel free to shoot any questions in the chat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that great presentation of your program. Our next program is Detroit-Wayne County Authority Health. I would like to invite your representative to unmute and tell us a little bit about your program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Thank you for having us. I know we are in the Southwest and we are from Detroit, so we are joining you guys this evening as our schedule didn't quite work. So although we are in the North, we do feel that we're still in the Midwest and it's still a very friendly area. And so some of that Midwestern, Southwestern hospitality and feel can still be extended to Detroit. So thank you so much for having us today. We are the Detroit-Wayne County Health Authority. That is how it comes up on ARIS, but we go by Authority Health. We are a small program with 7 residents per class 21 over the course of the 3 years. But we are a really unique program in that we are the second largest teaching health center in the United States, with the goal of training residents outside of the 4 walls of the hospital and placing residents into the community for which they serve. We have an extensive focus on treating patients and their families in an underserved setting in the city of Detroit. And so residents spend at least 2 ambulatory blocks each year at various private practices and federally qualified health centers throughout Metro Detroit. However, in order to get a robust training and to get all of the required, rotations and to make you as well-rounded of a pediatrician as possible, we did partner with the Children's Hospital of Michigan. So we are a hybrid program. You do about 80% of your rotations at the Children's Hospital of Michigan in downtown Detroit. It's a large quaternary care center with 240 beds. There is a level 4 NICU, level 1 trauma center with 90,000 visits per year, every subspecialty, transplant, ECMO capability, sort of really robust clinical expertise there. And you ascend with the class at the Children's Hospital of Michigan. So you're really integrated within their program. You become seniors on the floor. You're very, very well accepted. I think we've done a great job of bringing everybody together. We do share didactics with them as well. We do have considerable economic and racial diversity within our patient population and within our physician population, leading to really unique pathology presentations that we have in downtown Detroit. And one of the cool things about being a bit of a decentralized program is that I can partner with sort of any academic institution around. I do partner with Children's for clinical time, but I have various academic partners throughout the city. And so all of our residents do complete a population health and equity education certification program in partnership with the University of Michigan School of Public Health. This is a 1-year program. It's a certification in population health. It's similar to getting an NPH, but because you're
resident who don't have time to do that. So it is a 1-year certification program. We also offer a 2-month experience in Kenya. So if you're interested in doing an international rotation, I do have a Kenya rotation that we set up, and the residents go every year and have a wonderful time. The residents wanted me to highlight that we do an annual barbecue. We take wellness very seriously. So lots of things, holiday parties, secret Santas, summer graduation party. So we have a lot of fun in the program. We have a lot of focus on wellness and balance. Our curriculum is block scheduled. We have a block scheduled curriculum. We do have a community rotation in our 2nd year, which we highlight as another layer of really focusing on our community. Our community-based rotation is entirely non-clinical. You ride on food trucks in downtown Detroit, get to do some housing projects, other things within and around the city of Detroit. And as I already mentioned, children's level 1 trauma, ECMO capability. We do a monthly diversity and anti-racism curriculum, which DEI is very important to us at Authority Health. I'll be honest, it's something that we still strive for. If any program is saying that they're doing DEI perfectly, I would challenge that a little bit. I think we all have room to grow, but we're working on it pretty extensively. And we are located in the heart of Detroit. To the popular dogma is that Detroit is a dangerous place. We absolutely love Detroit. We have residents that live around and downtown in the city. We are the major catchment area for the urban area of Detroit, and the hospital is easily accessible by pedestrian or vehicle traffic. Oh, did I already get there? Wow, that was fast. I have my 2 residents here. Thank you so much for listening to us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing about your program. Our next program is going to be Our Lady of the Lake. I would like to invite your representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hi, I'm Melissa Roy. I'm the program director, and I'm joined by Courtney Campbell, who's one of our APDs. We are coming to you from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so we cannot ensure mountains or snow other than once every couple of years, but you can go outside any day of the year. People do kind of freak out when we're starting to get into the 30s, but there's a lot of beautiful scenery, a lot of outdoor activities, and Baton Rouge is just a fun place to live. Very easy to travel to Mississippi, Texas, North Louisiana, kind of all around the area. So we are a medium-sized program. We have 12 residents per class. So we have 36 residents plus 2 chief residents. We started in 2010, so we're still kind of a younger program. I guess we're officially teenagers now. So we're in our 13/14th year. We got to move into a brand new children's hospital in 2019, right before COVID. And that has been such a blessing for our residents to kind of have their own house, even though we welcome in residents from all of the other residency programs that are at Our Lady of the Lake. We have a large hospital with an attached medical office building, which means that our residents really get to do the majority of their training in one site, which just makes it easy to meet up with each other for lunch, get together for our academic half days and our morning reports and our grand rounds and such, and just get to see each other's faces a lot. So we are part of what's called an independent academic medical center. So you are going to interact with a lot of different residency programs while at the lake. You're also going to have the opportunity to really learn how to teach and lead a team of multiple levels of learners. So nearby medical schools, LSU School of Medicine, Tulane School of Medicine, both send their students for 3rd-year clerkships. And then we welcome 4th-year students from across the country. So you get to work with lots of different levels of learners and kind of learn how to guide and lead and really value everything that an interprofessional team brings together. You tell I'm a hospitalist, so that's where my brain goes first, is thinking about the full hospital team. We pride ourselves on really being able to prepare well-rounded pediatricians. So we feel like we give you the opportunities, the tools to be ready to jump into your first job as an outpatient pediatrician, or to match into, the fellowship of your choice and just dive into being a subspecialist. So we do that through lots of different ways, a lot of things that previous programs have mentioned, and really by just putting the resident first, being there to support you, recognizing that 3 years goes by really fast. And so there's a lot to learn beyond the clinical knowledge during that 3 years. And we know that no two learners are the same, and we really want to meet you where you are and help you achieve your goals. I can talk for a while, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Campbell so she has a minute.
Hey guys, I'm Courtney Campbell. I'm one of the APDs also down here in Baton Rouge, and I definitely echo what Dr. Roy says about being a warm city, but something that you can always, part of your wellness, you get to go outside and get lots of vitamin D all the time. It's a medium city that, yes, we're full of festivals and culture down here. So not only we get to experience fun things like Mardi Gras and crawfish boils, but they actually occur in our hospital during the year. So you can't miss out on any of that fun stuff. But while you're at the hospital or at the clinic, which is where I'm normally at our academic clinic, I just echo that the relationships that I think our kind of medium-sized program bring together and our faculty are compared to any other of these amazing programs too. So having that mentorship, we also have a research scientist dedicated to our program that's going to allow you to build all of your QI and advocacy projects, or if you want to go to, we have a research scholars program, you have that expertise available to you. So I think that's something very unique and interesting that helps kind of all of us continue to grow, not just our residents. We are a faith-based program, and that offers continued support with our diversity initiatives. So that is very helpful just to kind of continue to see all different lenses that our patients are experiencing and our faculty. We have a global health program here that also one of our locations is Kenya, so that can continue to grow if you're interested. And like I said, our outpatient clinic where I'm at, that's probably where most of our advocacy is centered. So everything that from helping our patients, what they need to bring home versus the medical care they're going to be providing, our residents are right there kind of adding all that. So we'd love to have you come down, and thanks for participating in this. I think this is a great first step for y'all to see what's available and all these amazing programs. So we appreciate it.
And we're always updating our website, and our social media is always popping out new information about our current interns, all of the great things that our residents are doing to serve our community. So check that out as well, and just send us any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for that presentation about your program. Our last program is going to be the University of Kentucky. Unfortunately, we had a technical issue, and we're currently working on their infographic, so that's going to be posted on our website later. In the meantime, Ms. Hawkins is going to share her screen and tell us about their program.
I think that Nakia's Zoom froze. She just texted me. My name's AJ. I'm one of the 3 chief residents at UK. If you all don't mind, I can just kind of go through some highlights without the infographic. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. So real quick, we are at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. We are a medium-sized program as well. We have 12 categorical pediatric residents per year. We're a little bit bigger once you take into account our other residency programs we're involved with. Our Med-Peds program has 6 per year, Child Neuro 2, Triple Board 2. So we start to get to a little bit of a bigger size at that point. It looks like Nakia is maybe able to share her screen now.
I am so sorry. My screen completely froze. Zoom doesn't like me, but hi, everyone. I'm one of our program coordinators. As AJ was saying, we do have a very Nice group of people. We have 36 categoricals where they do 3 years. We have our child neuro, which does 2 years with us before they go on to finish the rest of their curriculum for 3 years. So they do a full 5 years. We also have our triple board as well. They do a full 5 years. They do all years with us as well. They do some electives. And then we also integrate with our medicine peds, our internal medicine peds as well. I will let you guys know, we are located in Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington is a very growing population. As you can tell, we do have our own hospital within the University of Kentucky, Chandler Hospital. It is known as the Kentucky Children's Hospital. We have 205 beds, 3 children's playrooms, and 4 sleep rooms. We have added a new behavioral health unit this year as well to our university. We also are opening a new College of Medicine portion at the University of Kentucky starting in the year of at the end of 2025, early 2026. And we do have fellowship programs for all of our divisions as well. AJ, I'll go ahead and let you take over some.
Yeah, sure. We have fellowships in neonatology and emergency medicine, which is nice, but I think we're pretty unique in that we take care of a broad range of pathologies, congenital heart program, kidney transplants, lots of complex pathologies with not a lot of fellows. So you get a lot of interaction with those patients as well as your attendings. Our curriculum, we do a Monday through Friday noon conference. That's an 18-month rolling curriculum to help prepare us for our board exams. And then we also do a morning report 3 days a week that is more case-based, clinical diagnostic reasoning based to help our residents learn about that in a comfortable, safe place as well. Beyond that, in terms of the patient population, we are an entrapment area for a lot of Eastern Kentucky, Central Kentucky, South Kentucky. So we do have a little bit of an urban population in Lexington. And then we also take care of a lot of people from rural Kentucky, which unfortunately doesn't always have the best primary care access. So we do see a lot of complicated pathology in that regard as well. I don't know if Nakia is pulling up anything else right now.
I will let you guys know we do offer, like most programs, we do have the global health track that we do offer as well. We will allow them to go on at least up to 2 trips per a year. We just had a group come back from Ecuador. They go to Ecuador, they go to Tanzania, and typically some of them go for like month-long visits in the months of April, May, and June as part of it. We also have our continuity clinics as well that we do with our residents where they do those. Yeah. Everyone does that. So the other thing is we are integrated with our Fayette County Public Schools in Lexington doing a School of Health and Child Advocacy where we do participate with our local students within Lexington. We do a lot of outreach, but also we do care a lot about our residents' mental health. So we make sure we take them on retreats so that we can get to know them better, to focus on their well-being and their health. One of the things we like to do is we go to the Natural Gorge in September. We have a thing that we do in the springtime just to unwind a little bit. We call it March Madness because, you know, Kentucky, we are a basketball state. So we like to have a little fun. It's a great time. We're all about innovative things. We are very big on DEI as well. Some of the things we are starting to implement with our DEI, we are doing hand in hand with our College of Medicine program. And we're a growing program.
Yep. And then just to round out the tracks, in addition to global health, we have primary care, subspecialty fellowship, and critical care, as well as a hospital track, which are more kind of loose guidelines on how to pursue those fields if you're interested. We have clinical coaching programs and advisor programs as well that give you multiple opportunities to find mentors in whatever your interested field is. So yeah. We're definitely a family here. We're a very family friendly program. Lots of kids in the program, and yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. We want to say thank you to all the amazing programs here tonight. for sharing information about your hospital and residency programs. We are now going to open up the floor for a live Q&A. So feel free to unmute and ask your question, or you can send them in the chat. If you would prefer to remain anonymous, please feel free to message me and I can address your question to the program representatives.
Hi, can I ask a question? Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Kwejodan, so I'm originally from Ghana and I'm connecting from Massachusetts. So I would like to ask the representatives of University of Arkansas a question. I saw on the slide they had something on global health initiatives. If they could throw a little bit more light on it, I'll be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we actually offer our residents opportunity to go almost anywhere. All we ask is for there to be a preceptor. We have an established relationship with some people for different areas. So residents have gone to areas in Africa, residents have gone to obviously the Caribbean and other places, but there's lots of opportunities, and all we ask is actually for there to be a preceptor. Arkansas Children's has been very kind in allowing us that opportunity to have that easy access for our residents to be able to do global health electives.
All right, thank you.
So a question that we had submitted is for all of the programs. What is the best way to gauge the culture of a program with Zoom interviews? So how is it that you can assess the residency program's culture and environment in this type of interview?
I'll go. I think it's important to talk with residents that are in the program. And so sometimes there's residents involved in the interview process, and sometimes it's through an open house or knowing somebody to talk to. So I think that would be really important to kind of get their perspective as being a resident. And honestly, Zoom interviews, you really can have nice personal conversations, get to know each other, even though it's through a screen and sometimes it seems brief. I really think that programs and applicants can get to know each other and kind of understand the feel of the program through this platform.
I agree with that. We also do a happy hour before the night before interviews. So getting to know the residents without the program directors present, reaching out to chief residents through email or Instagram. I think all avenues are really helpful.
I also agree with you all as well. In our interview process, what we try to do is we integrate time for you to get to know our program directors, especially our head program director and our associate program directors. And then we also make sure that we have our residents talk to you all about why they chose our program and what are the things that they are working on to integrate, whether it's research or STEM labs and grants that they are working on and the conferences and everything that they participate on, so that they can have more of a better interaction with those that are coming in, so that they can just build a great rapport with them.
I would also, I agree with everything everyone has said. I think you have to trust how you feel on the day of your interview, as well as in all of those happy hours. I also think it's a really good idea to come up with a list of questions that you'll ask each program's residents and perhaps even leadership team when you interview. Things like, what's your favorite thing about your program? Or have you ever felt left out, or whatever? I don't think anyone will ever answer that last one yes, so maybe that's a bad question. But what's been your most favorite activity that you've done with your program? I don't know, there are a list, but what are things that are important to you about a place? And I would ask them to each place that you interview. And then most importantly, I think take notes about your gut feeling when you get off the call that day, because you will forget. I know you think you won't, but you'll totally forget. We are all writing down our gut feelings as well. And perhaps we have a rubric that we complete or something like that. I think you should do the same. It's a selection process on both sides. And so you should be very serious about your selection. There is a question in the chat about, will we review applications who didn't geographically preference us? I suspect that's different for different places. Andy, do you have thoughts about that for us?
Yeah, so we're really going to try this year to review each and every application. But what I'll say is, for us at least, I think if you give a either indicate the geographical location or signal the program itself, it'll probably signal us to spend a little extra time reviewing your application fully. And I suspect most programs will do some version of that, where if you're truly interested in that program or location, it is worthwhile using your geographical preference or signaling to help ensure that they give your application a full review.
I would definitely say for University of Arkansas, we plan to review all of our applications. We have a very strict holistic review that we follow, and we try to get through all of our applications to do so. I think the big thing with geographical preference is signaling is that I might look at your application before I review everybody else's, primarily because I know you're really interested in my program by indicating that. And so it will help me get to you maybe on, if I'm comparing days, like on Tuesday versus on Thursday. But it's not necessarily going to keep you from getting looked at in general.
Yeah, I think we agree with that as well. It's just, for us, it ends up as a way to expedite who to look at first, right? If someone's really interested in you and they signal you, it makes it a little bit easier for us to sort of look at their stuff earlier. There's also a question in the chat about, for community-based programs, about candidates having research experience.
I think having any sort of research or quality improvement experience helps to create, a well-rounded application, but it's certainly not necessary. I think you should choose the things that are important for you and be true to those things. I was a paramedic prior to starting medical school, and I felt that real life experience was really helpful for me, right? And so I spoke a lot about that in my interview process. That was who I was at the time, right? I didn't do a lot of research. And so I think be true to who you are. And I think I know our program, we look for people that are passionate in whatever that they're doing. And if that's QI or research or clinical space or nursing or whatever it is that you bring to the table, I think that's what's important to highlight.
I would echo that. We want to see people who are ready to kind of jump both feet into residency. And that doesn't mean it has to be research. It doesn't mean it has to be QI, but just to be open to trying new things and to, learning about research, learning about QI, learning about advocacy, learning about DE&I. And so different people have had different opportunities previously to get involved with research. So we have had some people do some fantastic research that had no research background. And then other people who had the opportunity to do a lot of research who had already kind of decided this isn't really my thing and just wanted to do, a more minimal amount of research during residency. So all that to say, I agree. Make sure you know what you are passionate about. Think about your strengths. Think about what you're excited to continue to pursue during residency or to get exposed to if you've never been exposed to it, and be ready to talk about all those things. You don't necessarily have to just emphasize a certain area like research. And I think there's a lot of questions about geographical preference. And I meet with a lot of fourth year students, and I tell them too, like, we're all still figuring it out too. So, I think you're going to hear similar answers from all of the program directors that we're looking at all the applications, but it's a lot of applications. We know that people applying to PEDS residency programs are applying to more programs than ever. So, we are looking at all these different factors and trying to figure out what to do with them. And at the same time, wanting to make sure that we're looking at all the applications, that we're doing a holistic review. And so what I would say is just don't pigeonhole yourself. There's some comments sometimes that go along with the geographical signaling that really limit you, or at least what you're saying is that you're really looking for a very small specific area. Use your program signaling to do that, or to email the program about that. But just in general, I think it's okay to signal, to use your geographical preferences. And we recognize that people have done different aspects of training throughout the country. You've done, your hometown was one of multiple places. You went to college one place, you went to med school another place. So, we know that choosing geographical areas of interest can be tricky, and that we always have people come who maybe have never even come to our state before. So
I agree with that. I think it's important to be true to yourself. I wouldn't try to game the system. Mm-hmm. We have made a point in our program, and I know several of these other program directors on here agree with me, I think, because I know a lot of them and we've talked about it. We don't game our system. We take all the applications that come to us, we review them for things that are important for us, right? Like, we think about what types of applicants tend to succeed and become the doctors that Oklahoma needs, right? We are all trying to, not that we want you all to stay in Oklahoma, although we'd love all of our graduates to stay in Oklahoma because we love them. But ultimately, we are thinking about the types of pediatricians that the world needs. And I know the other program directors on this call are as well. And so we really sort of think about what we might be best at developing, and try to choose people that will fit with our training programs and within our culture, and so on and so forth. So I would say don't game the system. Generally in pediatrics, we don't do that either. There is a question here about board scores, and there is no, like, all we see now are pass fail. I guess we see step 2 still this year, but we see pass fail. And so what I would say about that is we have switched to a holistic review a while ago. And so we don't necessarily focus on the board scores. If you've had a hiccup, you might try, and there's a reason, you might try to explain that. I don't know, other people, if you have thoughts. We don't put a ton of focus on the board scores. We feel like if you come in and give us your all, we can make you into a good doctor, and generally speaking, you'll most likely pass the boards.
Yeah, I feel strongly about this, actually, that if you have had a hiccup, that's okay. Things happen, right? But if you have a hiccup or a class that you failed or something, and then you try to bury it, we'll find it. And so it's always best, I think, to discuss it and talk about, be prepared to talk about what you've learned from it and how you've grown, because we'll see it, right? And so some people try to skirt over it or don't mention it. And I just think it's better. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I don't know how the other program directors feel about it, but
I agree. There's no lying in medicine.
Yeah.
Agree.
I agree wholeheartedly. I would rather have someone who's going to jump right in head first and be an active member participant in our team and take care of our patients and families, and we can work with the rest, like you stated, 100%.
And I think, just to reassure applicants, a lot of people feel like they're kind of all alone if they've had like a hiccup or a blip, and you're not alone. People just don't talk about it as frequently. There are, just a ton of very successful physicians who you've made assumptions never had a blip or a hiccup or what have you. And a lot of times those challenges have made you an even better candidate and have made you a stronger, individual, or given you a different degree of empathy and understanding. So don't to everybody else's point, you don't need to sweep it under the rug. Own your successes and the challenges you've overcome in the past.
Thank you. That was really great Q&A. We hope that everyone got the chance to learn a bit more about.
Welcome everyone to room 2. My name is Denise Cruz and my pronouns are she, her. I will be your moderator for this evening. I am a 4th year medical student from Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I am also serving as FPR's Associate Director of Webinars. I would like to invite our program representatives to give a short presentation of their programs for 5 minutes for the first part of the evening, and then we will take questions after all of the presentations. Attendees, you can, however, leave your questions in the chat as we go, and I also encourage programs to make use of the chat and answer any questions that you can in case we run out of time. To ensure that all programs are adequately represented, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes. And when you hear my timer go off like this, that'll signify that you have about 30 seconds remaining, and just go ahead and finish up your thoughts at that time. Our first program of the evening is University of Alabama at Birmingham. Please go ahead and unmute and tell us about your program.
Yes, congratulations. We're so excited you picked the best room. All these programs on here are amazing. My name is Michelle Nichols, and I'm the Pediatric Program Director at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And this is
Kelsey Thetford. I'm one of the chief residents.
And we would love to tell you about UAB. We love our program and the people here. We call ourselves a medium to large size program. We are 97 residents strong. Each year we recruit 24 categorical pediatric residents, 2 child neuro, 1 peds genetics, and 4 med peds. We have a great team. We have 6 pediatric program directors, and then 3 med peds, 1 child neuro, and 1 peds genetics program directors. We're supported by our amazing house staff office with Kim Butler, who is pictured here, who's our program manager, and then our 3 chief residents. And really, these are the people that run our program day in and day out. If you've never been to Birmingham, you're missing out. It is a thriving, growing, robust city that we all enjoy in our spare time. I think through the years, we've learned a lot about civil rights, and we've taken a lot of lessons to heart. We have a great, wonderful museums dedicated and devoted to that cause, and we educate our residents on many of these things. But Birmingham has a lot of mountains to climb, which you might not think of, and a lot of trails to run. We're surrounded by lakes to go to. We also are a big foodie town. We're a big sports town, SEC, of course, but also even just UAB. We also have our great music scene and a lot of fine arts. As far as our curriculum, we do a monthly rotation, and that's where it seems like our residents fit best. We also coordinate this with the University of Alabama. We are housed in the only children's hospital in the state, but we are affiliated with the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I think if you ask any resident what was their favorite educational venue, it would be our morning report, which is led by our chief residents every day, Monday through Friday. And it's where we really present our cases and really learn just patient case-based learning. And it's really a fun time. We have fun there, but really, I think, take in our bedside learning. And then we also have protected noon conference along with food, which is really important. Ernie cooks us up a great lunch every day. We also have some great diversity initiatives, and we have a faculty and a resident inclusive diversity, equity, advocacy, and accessibility council, which are very active. We have simulations, we have journal clubs, we have health equity scholars monthly dinner meetings, and a lot of different things. One of our PDs actually was raised in Birmingham and takes all of our interns on just a tour of where our patients actually live and breathe every day, just to see kind of what they are up against as we take the best care we can of them.
Awesome. A few of our program highlights that our residents wanted us to mention. We love the huge catchment area of children's. We see patients from all across the state and kind of bleeding into the adjacent states. We have a great simulation center that we work through with attendings and nursing staff. We get free lunch every day, which we love, and have covered parking with parking decks that are connected via sky bridges. Our resident clinic is on site, so that is also very convenient for our residents as well. We are a very busy center. We have over 380 beds. Our ED sees over 75,000 patients a year. We are a level 1 trauma center, have a PICU and a NICU that sees ECMO patients. We do not send much of anything away from our center. We have an ICU step-down unit. That's one of our favorite things that residents from all different teams can take care of patients that come out of the ICU. We have a NICU and newborn care that is adjoined to our children's hospital at UAB. And then, like I mentioned, our resident clinic is on site, so we truly get to see patients that live in the community. We don't have any track programs here, but we do have several scholars programs that you can enroll in as a first-year resident. This includes our residents interested in medical education group, our health equity scholar, our underserved and global health scholars, and then our McDonald's scholars, which go into rural areas of Alabama. We have several initiatives, including like a wellness committee and a social committee that plan fun things. We have a resident outreach organization that's involved in advocacy, and then several established global health sites. One of our favorite traditions of the year is our first years get to spend the last week of the year on Beach Week, which is their kind of celebration to cap off the end of a great year. So we get a week of vacation away.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing about the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I'll give a few seconds before we transition to the next program if anyone would like to leave, and for anyone joining as well. All right, our next program is University of Louisville. Go ahead and unmute. The floor is all yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Moulter. I am the program director at University of Louisville Pediatric Residency Program affiliated with Norton Children's Hospital. And I'm also joined by one of my associate program directors, Dr. Becca Hart.
Hi,
Our
everybody.
program is a university affiliated program with the University of Louisville. We are on the large end of medium or the small end of large, depending on who you ask. We have 24 categorical peds residents per year, 3 child neuro residents per year, and 5 med peds residents per year. We're located in Louisville, Kentucky, which I like to call the Midwest East South. I think we're the farthest north program in this East South Central region. A few curriculum highlights. We have been doing X+Y scheduling for about 4 years now. We're one of the original pilot programs for this type of scheduling in pediatric programs. We have 4 specific distinction tracks for our residents in medical education, global health, research, and advocacy. If you ask our residents the thing that they are most proud of in our residency program, it is our advocacy program. It's called PUSH, which stands for Pediatricians Urging Safety and Health. It is a completely resident-run, resident-driven advocacy program with 2 overarching arms in community outreach and legislative advocacy. Our residents have a tremendous sense of ownership and leadership in our advocacy program and do a lot of great work in that arena. I think like our colleagues at UAB, we are the only freestanding children's hospital in the state of Kentucky. So we have a large catchment area, which brings a lot of tertiary and quaternary pediatric care, but we're also the only children's hospital or the only hospital in the city that admits children. So you also get great exposure to a lot of the bread and butter inpatient pediatrics. We have a large network of outpatient clinics, each one with its own unique flair and unique patient base. So you get great exposure to all different types of patients in the outpatient realm as well. Louisville as a city is a great place to live. It's considered a medium-sized city. I like to say that we were supporting locally owned businesses and restaurants before it was cool. So there's an amazing network of locally owned restaurants. We're also a very foodie city. We also have an incredible network of public parks. So there are lots of outdoor activities that you don't have to travel far to get to. And then, of course, there's the Kentucky Derby and all the pomp and circumstance that comes with that, which makes springtime the best time to be in Louisville. We're very excited and proud of our program, our residents, and our city. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Hart to see if I forgot anything.
I can't think of anything in particular. I think you've hit all of the highlights. The other things that I'll point out, just because they're sort of things that I am particularly interested in and that I think our residents would tout about our program, is just the great camaraderie and support that our residents enjoy. We really do have a wonderful community here, both within and outside of our program. And I personally am involved in a lot of our wellness activities. So we do a lot of fun things along those lines to make sure that not only are our residents getting a great education and well-rounded learning experiences that turn them into amazing pediatricians, but that we try to have as much fun as possible doing it. And that was highlighted just this past week when we had one of our annual resident appreciation weeks with some fun activities. And there's also lots of other ways that our residents get involved in the program. So PUSH is definitely such an amazing experience and highlight. But as is highlighted on the screen, there's also lots of other things that our residents do, like getting involved in other leadership committees in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So yeah, it's a great place to learn. It's a great place to live, and we would welcome any questions that you guys have about our program.
Awesome. Made it right before the buzzer. Thank you, Dr. Moulter and Dr. Hart. We'll go ahead and give a few seconds for anyone to transition between the rooms. All right. Next up for tonight is East Tennessee State University. Please feel free to unmute. We'd love to hear about your program.
Hi, everybody. My name's Lauren Swift. I'm the program director at ETSU. I trained at Louisville, so I would say hi to my friends. And I can say everything they said is very true. I loved it there. But I'm here to talk about ETSU. So I am one of the small programs in this region. I think I'm one of the only small programs represented here tonight. We have 8 residents per class. We were able to grow over the last couple years. So eventually we'll have 24 residents per class, which we're very excited about. We are located in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is in the northeast corner of Tennessee. A lot of people don't know where we are, so we're kind of right in the middle of Appalachia. We serve a very large catchment area that includes a very rural, underserved patient population. So that's a lot of the focus of what our training for our residents is, to really prepare them to go take care of those patients in their careers. About 70% of our residents go on to do general pediatrics, while about 30% go on to fellowship. So we really focus on doing that general pediatrics primary care track. We do have a subspecialty track though, and they're pretty similar. And I think kind of the different opportunities are research electives versus kind of extra outpatients, newborn type stuff. So our hospital is freestanding, connected to a larger adult medical center. We are affiliated with East Tennessee State University and have very strong relationships with the undergrad campus and our advocacy and outreach. And so we have a very active advocacy program, similar to PUSH, but not quite the same, but have very active residents and attendings are out in the community. And one of a really cool thing that we just started is something called the Book Bus. We got a grant from the state and have this really cool trailer. We pull around to different events, hand out books, and really promote reach out and read, which is really exciting. So they just had an event like 2 weeks ago, and they gave out 600 books, which is really awesome for our community. We have some unique annual and sick leave that gives residents opportunity to kind of take days at a time if they need to, which I find really special for our residents. If they kind of need a break to focus on wellness or mental health or those sorts of things, that's available to them. And then we really want to promote maternity leave in a special way and have a really great breastfeeding curriculum that we have for our residents, so that they aren't having to use up elective time and still getting to spend time with their baby after they have their baby, which our residents really appreciate. I would say, let's see, the other things. Johnson City, like I was saying, is located in Appalachia, and there's a lot of stuff to do here. So if you enjoy outdoor activities, we're a really great place to come visit. There's hiking. You can drive 5 minutes from the hospital and be on a great hiking trail. There's lots of rivers and lakes, so all the water activities. But we're also really close to bigger cities and to the beach. So if you're a mountain person, you kind of live in the mountains. If you want to drive to the beach, it's about a 5-hour drive. And then Dollywood is very close to us, which is where we have our annual resident retreat, which our residents really enjoy as well. Our curriculum, we also are on a 12 blocks per year curriculum like UAB. It's a mix of inpatient and outpatient. And again, you kind of get on your subspecialties a mix of that as well, which I think is a unique feature of our program. We do not have any fellowship programs at ETSU, so our residents are really the first up for procedures and kind of those one-on-one relationships with their attendings, which really provides for really good mentorship for our residents. And I really do feel like we have a family feel here, and everyone's really passionate about taking care of the patients in our community and really advocating for them. Like I'm talking very fast, I'm probably not going to get to the buzzer. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm looking forward to meeting people on the interview trail.
Did not make it to the buzzer. You're good. Thank you so much. I'll give a few seconds as well for anyone who'd like to come in and out of the rooms. All right, our next program of the evening is Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. Please unmute and the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that mouthful of hospital name. We appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all. I'm Whitney Browning. I'm the program director at Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. And we have our Vice Chair of Education, Dr. Rebecca Swan is here as well. So she's going to keep me straight and add anything to the end that I miss. Like I said, we're located in Nashville, which is a fun place to be. Always changing and growing, and like Sarah in Louisville, a little bit of a foodie city. So if you like to eat, you can find anything here, and a fun place to explore. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. More about our program. We are, either a large, middle size, or a small, large program, however you want to look at it. We now have 28 categorical residents per class. We have 6 med peds residents, 4 child neuro, and 1 peds genetics in each incoming class. We are university affiliated, and we're on the campus of Vanderbilt University Medical Center. We are a standalone children's hospital on that campus, and are connected to the kind of physically connected to the undergrad campus. We also do block scheduling. We have 13 blocks a year. We sneak one in there, so you get some extra rotations, which is nice for elective time and just clinical exposure. I'm going to talk a little bit about our GME certificates in a second. And like many have already highlighted, we have a new parent elective, which is exciting for our residents who have children during residency, and that is a newer thing for us. And we're really excited for that support for those residents. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or as we like to say, belonging, is really important to us at Monroe Carroll, as it is to all of you all. Some of the diversity initiatives that we have include the Health Equity Task Force that's made up of faculty, residents, and fellows. We have a visiting scholar program. We have a life coach or mentoring program for our trainees who identify as underrepresented in medicine. And we just received a grant, which is really exciting, to have a new kind of, we're calling it the collective, but where residents, faculty, and fellows every month will have a time to get together and talk about issues that might come up for residents or anybody from underrepresented backgrounds. And we're really excited to offer that to our trainees and really everybody at the Children's Hospital. So a little bit more about our hospital. We are a large children's hospital with all the subspecialties. We have high-level NICU and emergency care. And like I said, we partner with folks across our institution. We offer, like many have already highlighted, we don't have tracks per se, but we have academic communities. And those include a research community, social medicine and advocacy, or SMAC, our quality improvement academic community, medical education, and then our global health academic community is now combined with our GME certificates. I think one of the hidden gems of our program is the strength of our GME across the university. I feel very fortunate to be supported not by our DIO, but also program directors across the institution. And they have GME certificates for all trainees. So it's an opportunity to get together with surgical residents or internal medicine residents and learn about these topics as they cross different disciplines. And those include LGBTQ health, biomedical ethics, medical humanities, global health equity, and health equity and leadership, which Dr. Swan actually runs. In addition to these academic communities, we do offer what we think is unique. It's an NIH-funded grant for residents who might want to pursue research during their pediatric residency. So this is designed not for people who come in with PhDs or science background, although they are eligible as well, but for people who maybe just got the research bug or want to explore it a little bit more. They can take 1 to 2 years of funded time during residency to explore their research opportunities. And their only clinical responsibilities during that time is our continuity clinic. We are exposed, you're able to be exposed to all the subspecialties early. So I think, like many of my colleagues here who have wonderful programs, you get exposed to general pediatrics and subspecialty pediatrics early as you're trying to make career decisions and think about fellowship or your future in the community. So some fun things, you guys asked for some maybe some fun traditions that we have. So I was going to tell you guys about some of those. We have resident day out, which everybody has highlighted. There are different type of day out for the residents. Ours is where faculty and fellow cover for 24 hours and all the residents get a day out together, which is always fun. Class retreats, of course. We have morning retort where the residents around the holidays poke a little bit of fun at the faculty, good-natured, of course. Hat day is when they poke a little bit of fun at each other with good-natured ribbing. And then we have an annual Halloween costume contest that has become quite big. I will say the leadership wins quite often. So just a challenge for all of you applicants out there. And then we have a departmental book club that includes faculty, fellows, and residents. And the Heller Bowl is like a quiz bowl between the graduating residents and the faculty, which the residents won for the first time in a long time, although the faculty claim that it's because of their Taylor Swift knowledge and not because of that they beat them on clinical questions. But we'll see. I think they did a pretty good job myself. So what do we value in applicants and residents? These are kind of some values that we have decided are important to our program. Teamwork, of course, intellectual curiosity, cultural humility, a growth mindset, a little bit of grit, which we all have in medicine, and of course, a desire to have fun with each other. And so we try to build that into our culture, and I think the residents hopefully will tell you that they feel that and the support and have fun learning to be pediatricians. So hopefully that's a good overview. I'll let Dr. Swan jump in and see if there's anything else she wants to add. But we're really excited to share our program with you all.
No, I think you covered that. I'd be happy to take questions, but that covers us. And welcome to anyone who's interested. We're excited you guys all are here.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. I'll give a few seconds for anyone to transition between the rooms. And our next program of the evening is Children's Hospital of Richmond at VCU.
Good evening, everyone. So we are the webinar crashers. I know we're regional a little different than everybody else around here. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it to the previous one, and we're thankful enough and grateful to be able to make it today. But I'm Naif Shaheen. I'm one of the associate program directors in charge of inter-recruitment for our program. And with me, I've got Dr. Zhang, who's one of my colleagues, APD as well, and two of our great residents, Sierra and Pooja, who you'll probably see around there. As well. So again, we're at the Children's Hospital of Richmond at Virginia Commonwealth University. We are, as of 2022, a standalone children's hospital. So that was one of our big things for our region and for our patients, that we're able to finally provide everything within one setting. We are a medium-sized program. We take 16 categorical peds, one child neuro, 4 med peds. We count with all subspecialties that you can think of. We got a level 4 NICU with, and I'm proud to say that we're amongst the few institutions that still does ECMO in the NICU as neonatal ECMO, other than the, what you get to have as exposure within the PICU. We have a level 1 trauma center, so within that as well, we count with 11 distinct pediatric fellowship programs. And the culture within our fellowship programs is for our fellows to be part of the resident education. They're not there to compete with them as far as knowledge or procedures, and that certainly has been one of the things that we advocate for. We, as far as the traditions that we like to incorporate within our residents, we have our year-end PGY3 roast, again, sort of similar to what has been described from other programs, where they get to make fun of each other with good intentions as well. We certainly take birthdays seriously around here, and our culture is to be supportive, but certainly diverse and family oriented, other than the teamwork that most everybody has been describing. One thing that we're proud of that sort of has been a little bit unique to us within our program is our 2-week block rotations. We alternate between inpatient to outpatient, and this came about from residents wanting to find a better work-life balance, and sort of became the culture of our training. We've got program tracks in primary care, public health, hospital-based care, outpatient-based care. Our goal is not to produce one type of pediatrician. If subspecialty is what you want, or gen peds is what you want, that's what we're going to push for, and help you get to. As far as diversity initiatives, our DI programs have increased quite significantly within the institution. We actually have our own Children's Hospital of Richmond DI Council. And the biggest thing for us as far as diversity and equity and advocacy is the fact that we are in the capital of the state. So the governor is right across from the street, and when it comes to legislation and what have you, all we have to do is cross the street, knock on the door, and things are happening, and our residents get to be part of this. Again, we're in the South Atlantic, but not too far from everybody else around here. As far as Richmond and Virginia, if you haven't been around, Richmond is, people will describe it as big enough to be a city and small enough to still remain a town. We certainly are very outdoorsy. We're surrounded by the Shenandoah Valley, so we're 1 hour away from the mountains, great wineries, great hiking places. We're 2 hours away from the beach, 2 hours away from Washington, D.C., got a bunch of festivals that happen around town. We've got Broadway that makes it down here, pet friendly, family friendly, food town. I did my training. I used to live in New York, and Richmond ain't that far from the food experience that you would get in New York. And I believe those are sort of the big things from our program. Unless Dr. Zenk, anything you would like to add?
No, I think you hit the high points, but we really do want to emphasize the community family feel within our program. I think our residents can talk more about that later, but within our residency program, and then building upon that, but between the residents and faculty as well. But thank you all for joining with us today.
Yeah, thank you for letting us crash your party.
Thank you for joining us. That is the end of our program overview of the evening. For all the participants, if you'd like to go ahead and put any questions in the chat. If you'd like to remain anonymous, you can also send me the question directly, and I'll read it out to the programs, and that'll go for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll kindly ask our program directors to hop off as our residents come into the webinar. So without further ado, let's go into our live Q&A. So I did get a question in my chat. With all these great programs, what are the favorite parts of each of your programs?
I can go. We're from the South. We're all too nice. We're waiting for somebody else to jump in. I mean, this is going to sound cheesy. The favorite part of my program is the residents. And every year when we go into recruitment, we talk about, they're the ones that are going to help recruit their next next group of colleagues and their next peers and the people they're going to work with for the next 2 or 3 years, which is really exciting. And then I think, outside of that, just I'm really proud of that we're able to really, even in a fairly large program, cater to the interests and the needs of individuals, and what they want their career to be, and really create a training opportunities that fit that, which is something I think we're really proud of.
Yeah, I think likewise, when we ask our residents, what their favorite thing about the program, they say each other, their relationships with each other. But I think we also have a really special resident faculty relationship. I think, a lot of our residents will be on a first name basis with our faculty by the time that they graduate. And I think that collegial, sense of camaraderie that they have, not just with each other, but with the faculty as well, just creates a great environment for learning.
I would say similar to us, certainly the residents loving with each other and being proud of the sense of being part of a family. I mean, we've certainly seen residents continue grow a great relationship amongst themselves that continues even beyond training and with faculty as well. First name basis, the curriculums, and I think that our residents are really happy about and very proud about, and the way we've been running things.
Surprise, surprise, we're going to say the same thing from a UAB perspective. Also, the people, that's overwhelmingly what we hear from the residents. They choose to come here for the relationships that they kind of witness even in our night before preview dinners, and everyone loves the people. So ours is the same.
I will echo everyone else and say it's definitely the people. That's my favorite part of my job. And I always tell applicants, it's really nice working somewhere where faculty and residents are passionate about the patients we take care of, and you really feel the sense of family with the community as well.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So there is a question in the chat, and some people have already answered that, but the question states, how do your programs view DO students? Are applicants required to have USMLE scores, or are COMLEX scores viewed individually?
We, like probably all pediatric programs, do a holistic review of all of our applicants. And so we look at DOs and MDs similarly. And if you just have COMLEX, that's fine. And I care if you pass the test. So I think that with the pass fail this year, it'll be an interesting recruitment season to see how that goes. But we look at everyone kind of the same.
Awesome. I think everyone answered in the chat as well. Another question we have in the chat says, do you have any recommendations for personal statements as far as things you would like to see or would like people to address and topics that make a personal statement stand out?
I think for personal statements, most people will tell you, don't be in the bottom 10% that has grammatical errors or the sentences don't flow. But I think most of us just want to see that passion come through, that you're excited about taking care of patients, about providing the most excellent care, that you're motivated, that you're positive, and you're ready to work as a team to really learn all you can and deliver the best care. I think personal statements, make it unique, make it about you, make it about your heart. And I think that comes through and just speaks loud and clear. We love personal statements. I think with, USMLE scores going away, which is not a bad thing. I think now you're really able to tell us who you are and what you're about and what you're after.
I always tell the students I meet with, have someone outside of medicine who is not a relative of you read it, because sometimes they can catch things that don't make sense or don't sound right. And the reason they shouldn't be related to you is because someone related to you is probably going to love it just because they love you. So just find someone else to read it for you. Because in this day and age, I have to agree with Dr. Nichols, we really should not be reading something that has grammatical errors. That's just not setting you up for success.
The only thing I'll add is that I personally like it if an applicant has had a particular challenge. So if you've had a failure along the way, if you have had some other sort of challenge that you have had to overcome, I do like to see that addressed in the personal statement. I think that's a great chance for you to tell what you've learned from that experience and how all those things are going to make you a really great resident.
Another great thing in the chat, make it one page. So no grammatical errors and make it one page, applicants. Another question that came in the chat is, please elaborate on how your programs will utilize signaling and geographic preference.
I can't wait to hear what all the other programs say, because it's a hot topic. Since I'm talking, I'll just say, I think it's new. So for all of you, don't stress too much. We don't know exactly how we are supposed to use them either, or how, and so it's going to be okay. Don't put so much pressure on it that you stress yourself out. I think for us, and I won't speak for everybody in the region, but I think people who signal that they want to come to our region have a reason typically, whether it's for a particular program or for family, or they just love the South because it's awesome. Or Sarah, I'm a Kentuckian, so the Midwest South. And so I think that's how we will use it. So for us, if you're from the West Coast or the Northeast, and we get a lot of applicants from there, but typically there aren't a ton of people who are really going to move that far. And so for us, I think that's how we use that, and strictly for us for interviewing purposes. Beyond that, we don't really use the signaling. And I think the same for geographic signaling as well, or what the regions. If we see people that aren't from the region that say they want to be here, we might kind of give that application a second look, just because they're more likely to move to Tennessee and Nashville and train with us.
Yeah,
Curious what other people will say.
I agree with Whitney. I think signaling is really tough because you're signaling before you even really have seen the program. And so to me, it is signaling like I would be really interested in maybe living in the South, especially for people that aren't around our Southeastern area. We do love to see people in our neighboring states that signal us as well, but we don't use it for anything but like, hey, these people may be interested in our program. Nothing certainly for ranking, because you don't even know about the program that intimately until you interview with us. And so once you interview with us, you may say, I don't want to signal them at all. So we take it, I think, at face value, and hope that we do get some geographic diversity. I think that is a cool thing about our program.
I think, remember too, PEDS only has 5 signals, unlike some specialties. OB has like 17. Like, it's a huge difference in how different specialties think about signals. So, I mean, we're going to interview a lot more than people who signal us, right? Because there's only 5. And so I think for PEDS programs, it's a little bit less important, maybe less riding on it than some of the surgical subspecialties that have like 18 or 30, I think I heard urology had. So I think it's different for different groups.
I will say, we used the signaling, we did use the signaling a little bit more. And for us, a lot of it is because we are surrounded on every side by a lot of really big programs. And so for me, it was really important for me to see people who have true interest in my program as opposed to perhaps using my program as more of their backup plan or a safe program. So we actually reviewed all of our people who signaled us. We reviewed those applications first. And if they, met our holistic review criteria, we went ahead and offered them invitations to interview in kind of our first wave. So we did use the program signaling in that way. We didn't use the geographic signaling quite as much. I kind of hinted at the fact that we are the northernmost East South Central program. And so the region that we commonly pull from in terms of applications isn't necessarily the region where we are located in the area's geographic preferencing. So we didn't look at that quite as heavily, but that's how we used it this year.
And then for me, the rural versus urban was actually very helpful because we're a more rural area. And so I looked a little more closely at that last year. So if you're really interested in practicing a more rural type of pediatrics and put that on your application, that makes me look at you a little closer too.
Awesome. Thank you all. That was very helpful. There is a question in the chat and only one program answered it, so I'll just go ahead and read it for everyone else. Is it possible to submit the application to your program even if the ECFMG certificate becomes available a couple of days after the application deadline?
I think most of us would agree that should be fine as long as we get it before we have to finalize things.
Okay, thank you. And we have a few more questions and a few more minutes, so hopefully we get to them all. But the next question says, what ways do you recommend on appropriately expressing strong interest in your program?
That's a tough one. I guess, signaling will play a role with that as a tool to help show your interest in the program. We get emails with interest. We don't ignore them. We just hold on to them until we can officially start sending out invitations. I do think they do hold some value there as far as showing interest. And then, once we get to know you through our interviews, I think that's where the interest really shines, right? And at least from my own experience, I don't know if anybody else has anything else to say about it.
I think the only thing I would say is don't be discouraged or if programs don't respond. We get emails, so many emails, and really the communication isn't supposed to be back and forth all the time through interview season. And so I think it's fine to say it, but don't get discouraged or don't think, oh my gosh, they don't like me if you don't get a response back. Because number one, it's almost impossible to keep up with all of them. And number two, it's just not really fair to be communicating back and forth with people who reach out as opposed to those who don't. So.
And I guess to be clear to the students, the message is that if you want to communicate that you have interest or whatever it is you want to say, that's fine. But unless there's a specific question, do not expect a response back. But in that, don't overread that. It is what it is. You're saying, I'm really interested in your program and I'm highly ranking you, or I'm ranking you number one, or whatever it is. Do not expect a response, and that doesn't mean anything. And the follow-up of that, before people are starting to think, well, I'm just going to say that and then ask a question. just so I'm very clear on that, is when you ask them, you say, I'm going to rank you number 1. Oh, by the way, what's the call schedule? The response you're going to get back is, our call schedule is, or our continuity clinics are here. And no one's going to address what you said at the beginning of it. Don't overread that. So, and that is because that is our agreement to be as appropriate and professional as we can be with everybody. And I'm guessing everyone on the call would agree with that.
I certainly think when you're interviewing, if there are certain parts of the program, like you were really into advocacy, you certainly need to state that. And this is why I think your program will be a great program or a good place for me. So if there's certain unique parts of the program that you feel like are really fitting for you, or things that where you would really thrive, I think it's great to let the program know that this is a place I think I would really enjoy and be a big part of and could contribute.
I'll probably piggyback into that. I think doing your homework before the interview also shows interest, right? So look at the websites. We have a lot of information on our websites that shows us whether you're truly, you've again done the homework and really.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So as we wait for our attendees to trickle in, I'd like to remind program representatives to please add your institution or your program affiliation to your Zoom display name. And then attendees, please take a minute to pull out your phones and take a picture of our screen right now if you don't already have it, because this will allow you to refer back to the breakout rooms easily if you're trying to switch rooms during the webinar. And just so you guys know, this picture will also be on the main room throughout the entire webinar. So if you ever need to refer back to it and you don't have a picture, feel free to go to the main room. And then I'd also like to offer our attendees some guidance with navigating between the breakout rooms. So to join a different breakout room, select breakout room at the bottom of the screen, and then click join to join the breakout room of your choice. And then to return back to the main room, select leave room and then leave breakout room. Sorry, okay, everyone, welcome to Breakout Room 3. My name is Kirtana George, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm currently a third-year medical student at Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center School of Medicine in Lubbock. I grew up in Texas and I've been here my whole life, so I'm excited to see all the programs that we have tonight. And then I'd also like to go ahead and allow Sheena to introduce herself.
Hi everybody, I am Sheena Bedi. My pronouns are she, her. I am an intern at DY Patil Medical College Hospital and Research Center, India. And I am an assistant director of webinars for FPR this season. And I'm really excited to be helping out tonight.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. So I would like to invite our program representatives to give a short presentation of their programs for 5 minutes for the first part of the evening, and then we will take questions after all the presentations. So attendees, you can leave your questions in the chat as we go, and then we also encourage programs to make use of the chat to answer any questions that they can in case we run out of time at the end. So to ensure that all programs are equally represented, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes. When you hear my timer go off, you'll hear this sound. So when you hear that, please begin to wrap up your thoughts, as that will signify that you have 30 seconds remaining. So to start off, our first program of the evening is Driscoll Children's Hospital at Texas A&M. So I'd like to invite your representative to unmute and please tell us about your program.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey guys,
I'm Dr. Mary Huckabee. I'm the program director here at Driscoll Children's Hospital in Corpus Christi, Texas. We are a freestanding children's hospital in South Texas, and we are affiliated with Texas A&M University. So we kind of have the best of both worlds, that of a community hospital and good university academic support. Our hospital was built in 1953 and has 191 beds. We cover 31 South Texas counties. So we have a service area that's from Victoria down to the Rio Grande Valley and over to Laredo. We have a very diverse patient population, and we get some really interesting pathology, both due to the underserved nature of the patients that we see, and also due to our significant population of recent immigration from Central and South America. We have over 30 medical and surgical subspecialties. So Driscoll is really able to do almost all care for the kids in our community. It's very rare that we need to send anyone away for care in a different area, which is really good. It's already a big travel coming from some of our communities up to Corpus. Our program has huge amount of variety in the clinical pathology that our residents see, and a great support from our faculty as teachers of our residents. One of the things I think is really special about our program here at Driscoll is how many of our programs are really developed and run by our residents. And that includes our wellness program, our team building program, our advocacy efforts, and our recruitment efforts. All of those are run by resident committees. So we know that residents in our program are getting what they want and need, and that can change as the wants and needs of our program changes. Our residents are also really well supported with competitive salary, a great benefit package, on-site childcare that's available, free parking, and lots of other perks and support from the community. Our residents have lots of opportunity to be involved in research, quality improvement work, and advocacy projects. We actually require meaningful participation in all of those areas during training with good support. And our residents have a ton of engagement with our community, both by working with community preceptors in their continuity clinic, but also through their advocacy efforts. So they really leave here knowing the South Texas community well, understanding what it is to be a pediatrician in our community, and prepared to go into the job market from that. Curriculum-wise, we do block scheduling. As I said, our continuity clinic is with community preceptors, so you get to see real pediatricians in practice. They're great about helping our residents see the business side of medicine. And we do have multiple continuity models within our program to help residents find the right fit based on their future career goals. We have a robust didactic curriculum, including noon conference, morning report, and special didactic series such as Residents as Teachers, Quality Improvement, Patient Safety, and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion curriculum. Corpus Christi is a special place. I grew up here. I think from a resident standpoint, it is an easy city to live in. There's not major traffic. It's easy to get around. Cost of living is really great. And of course, the beach is right down the road. You can actually see the bay from our floor towers. So every time I'm rounding with patients and we turn around the corner of the hall, I get to look out over the water and take a moment of wellness and a deep breath before I go back to seeing patients. Sometimes our residents do travel. We have outlying clinics in our market in Laredo, the Rio Grande Valley, and Victoria. And so residents who are on subspecialty rotations will often travel with their preceptors to see what it is like to go to an outlying clinic, visit a more underserved area as a subspecialist. Our residents have done very well after graduating, both in finding primary care jobs, both within our community and across the nation. Our residents also do really well in the fellowship match. And we have great success sending residents really wherever they want to go in multiple subspecialties. I've been here for about 5 years, and I think we've sent a resident into almost every subspecialty during that time, which is really exciting. All in all, I think we're a special place that is so family friendly and so supportive of our residents. I encourage you to take a look at us, and thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Huckabee, for that presentation. So our next program of the evening is Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center School of Medicine in El Paso. So program representative, you can go ahead and unmute and start your presentation.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm Dr. Fatima Gutierrez. Sorry, I'm on my phone. My computer wasn't working, so I can't really see myself. So hello, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great afternoon. So I'm the program director. My name is Dr. Fatima Gutierrez. I've been in this position now for a little bit over 3 years. So Dr. Huckabee, you did a great job, and a very similar things that it's probably going to sound very familiar. I will say, you know, our program is literally the only pediatrics program that is on the border. So while we don't have a view of the beach, we do actually have from our children's hospital a view of Juarez, Mexico. So I think that's very special. We take care of these families. And again, with recent immigration, we are seeing a lot of families coming across the border and taking care of those families and having the privilege of doing that. One of the things that our chair has a real special interest is in global health. And so one of the things that we've started within our program is in our community and advocacy rotation, we do a border health rotation. So really get to know border medicine, refugee care, and also have an opportunity to work with these families. We actually do have the opportunity through Doctors of the World, which is an out branch of Doctors Without Borders, to actually take care of these patients here in El Paso. And also our university is working on getting our residents to also take care of these patients across the border as well. So our main site for our residents is at El Paso Children's Hospital. It's about 122 pediatric bed units. We have most every subspecialty, either at Texas Tech or through El Paso Children's, and all these specialists work with our residents. We're really excited. We're getting a new allergy immunology doctor as well. We're getting a whole bunch of specialists coming in as well. So one of the special things as well about our program is we do offer a new parent elective. We're very supportive with parental leave. We have many residents who are parents themselves. We also have great benefits as well. We have free parking. We have residents as teachers rotations, and we have pretty good insurance as well. Lots of opportunities for our residents to do advocacy work. We try to do community work as well. Our program does have a dedicated didactics in the afternoon, and we have offer as well different wellness events as well, either scheduled or through the residents as well. Regarding our curriculum, we are doing a block scheduling. So we have 13 different electives, which is a good mixture of inpatient and outpatient. I feel like our inpatient rotation, me, a hospitalist, when in my other part hat of being the program director, so I'm on service this week. We have such a great wide variety of patients. When we have other, physicians who come to visit us, they're really just in awe of the kind of, different things that we see. So we see a lot of good bread and butter, but we also see a lot of rare things. Unfortunately, with our proximity to the border, we do take care of patients, who have come to us as a last, resort. So we do see a lot of advanced stages of diseases as well. We are COG certified, so we are the children's hospital to take care of oncology patients. We're the only level 1 trauma, so we do take care of those sickest patients and co-manage with our trauma residents, our surgery residents. And then we also are level 4 NICU, so we also do take care of some of the sickest babies. And we have about a 300-mile radius due to our location in El Paso. So we're probably maybe the most different as far as weather-wise. El Paso is more desert. I think we're the only city technically specifically, maybe I can say, that has mountains. And so if you do like outdoor activities, El Paso is a great place. It doesn't snow too much, probably snows like one day and then it'll melt the next day. So we also have, close proximity to a lot of different areas, a lot of good places that you can go for days, day kind of trips that our residents do. And also I like to brag that we have 2 airports here, one in El Paso to get to your US places, Laudis Airport as well. If you want to go to Mexico City, Cancun, they're actually the same distance to LA as to Houston, as to Denver, as to Mexico City. So we're kind of in the middle of everything. Was that the timer to go off? I'm sorry. Yes?
Yeah, you have 30 more seconds just to finish wrapping up.
Yeah. Well, I hope you take a look at our program. I know our residents will be joining to talk to you a little bit more, but thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. It was super interesting to hear about El Paso and all your program has to offer. So we're going to move on to our next program of the night. And so that program is University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston. So program representative, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself and start your presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about our programs. My name is Amber Harefield, and I'm the program director at the University of Texas Medical Branch. So we're in Galveston. Galveston is an island off of the Gulf of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico area, and we are an island program with also some opportunities on the mainland. Our main clinical site is John Seeley Hospital, and that's in Galveston, and our primary care pavilion where most of our learners are in clinic is also in Galveston. In 2020, we opened another hospital, a children's hospital area in the Clear Lake campus. So there's opportunities both on the island and on the mainland for us to be seeing patients. We have subspecialty clinics for all kinds of outpatient subspecialties. I realized on here that I didn't have complex care. So we have many opportunities for our residents to do their core rotations, but also if they're interested in doing other electives as well, and the multiple subspecialties. Our wellness program is comprehensive and includes things from didactics to just getting together at different holiday times. Our residents are in house groups for their didactics also, which provides that extra kind of camaraderie and opportunity for them to have also some friendly competition between the houses. We have some community outreach activities, including things such as Reach Out and Read, which allows for us to really promote literacy in our clinics. And then also we have a school health program, and we have a smart family literacy program where our residents are going to 3 of the different surrounding school districts in our area, and really there on, in the schools, being able to interact with the kids and the teachers, learning about what it's like to be back in school, and also about the importance of literacy, teaching for kids. We also have great insurance benefits for our employees here at UTMB. And then while it may not really matter to you now, but we also have a personal portable disability policy, which on my side of things now, it's something important to think about. So that's a really great thing that our institution provides to our UTMB residents and their employees. We have a level 4 NICU, mother-baby unit for newborn, and we have 2 fellowship programs. One is neonatology, and the other one is allergy immunology. In general, we have great tradition here at UTMB, and you see on here Snow in Texas. Our chairman has her annual holiday party, and snow happens in Galveston at her party. So that's just a fun example. For our curriculum, we also have block scheduling, and we have an academic half day where all of our residents join on Wednesdays. And part of that academic half day includes didactics. We have a lot of interactive sessions. We do mock codes. We have our well-being sessions there, root cause analysis, all kinds of different things. We provide materials for our residents for board study preparation, so prep and med study. We also have a pretty comprehensive curriculum that we go through content specifications every Wednesday. As far as the area and climate, it's warm most of the time. So if you are someone who likes the warmth and the humidity, Galveston is the place for you. And it's a great environment. Something that I like to tell people, and I think probably this is the same at many of the other programs that are talking today, but people are just generally kind. And so not only in the program, but also the institution and just in the community. So it's a really great place to live. The cost of living is great compared to other places that are more expensive. There's a lot of opportunity for culture, food, and really having things to do. Because we're so close to Houston, you get that opportunity to be close to the hustle bustle of kind of the metropolitan area, but then also kind of the more leisurely Galveston Island feel. And then as far as diversity, we have a really diverse program from the perspective of residents and also from the perspective of faculty. And so just overall, we are excited about the upcoming year and to be able to meet many of you on the interview season. And thank you for your time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation about UTMB and all that Galveston has to offer. So our next program of the evening is Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. So I would like to invite a program representative to please go ahead and unmute yourself and start your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. My name is, Brian Rissmiller, and I am one of the associate program directors for our Baylor College of Medicine program in Houston. If you saw, there's another Baylor College of Medicine program in San Antonio that was in room 4. So if you're looking for that one, you're in the wrong room. And so I just wanted to start off by kind of echoing everything that all the fantastic programs have talked about here. And I think really any program in Texas probably really at the core has the same values of being family focused, kind, and you're going to get great education. So you can't go wrong in Texas. I'm going to start off with that. Us at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, our primary hospital is Texas Children's Hospital, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, children's hospital, definitely in the country, maybe even the world. So we, I guess our claim to fame is we probably have all the zebras that you'll see anywhere else, and zebras on top of zebras. So we have all the subspecialties that you can think of, and I think the thing to say is that we have a lot of integrated clinics that brings together multiple subspecialties to really give you a sense of how to care for some of these complex patients, almost in a, I don't want to say unique way, but in an integrated way, which I think is really fun. I personally went to residency here. I'm actually from New Jersey, so I'm a transplanted northerner that has been, I now claim to be a Texan. So I can, anyone that has questions about that, happy to answer at the end. But we have fantastic facilities. We have an enormous number of beds that will probably scare you, so I'm not going to say it. We have faculty in every subspecialty, but I think what I'm most proud of our residency program is that we try to make it a small family affair for everyone. We try to incorporate everyone. We try to come up with what you're really interested in learning and really developing an individualized plan to kind of help you get through there. So some of the large level things, we have multiple tracks, which contributes to our large size. So we have a categorical track, which allows you to go into primary care or fellowship. We have a specific physician scientist or pediatrician scientist track. We have a primary care lead, which is leadership and advocacy. And then we have a global health track. But the nice thing is that all the opportunities available in these diverse tracks are open to anyone. So even if you're a categorical resident, you can still learn alongside with your colleagues. Let's see, the 50-50 pursuing fellowship as well as primary care is probably a little bit inaccurate. It's probably slightly higher on the fellowship, probably closer to 60-65% now. But we do prepare fantastic residents for both. We have some unique rotations. We have every one of our residents can do an away rotation at one of our global sites, which include at some of the Navajo reservations in the United States, as well as countries in Africa. And then we have a scholarly activity rotation where you have an entire block devoted to a scholarly activity of your choosing. And the STARS rotation under their curriculum there is basically teaching and safety. So that's our specialized curriculum there. Let's see. what else? We do accept visas, as it says on there. And in terms of our diversity initiatives, we have a diversity council that kind of pervades our program. We've had a diversity initiative, which I know some people will say that's probably a hard word to say in Texas right now, but we're going to continue to use it. That started really over 10 years ago and has been part of our recruitment effort since then. So we're really proud of it. And speaking of that, Houston is a fantastic place to live and work. It's, I think, the 4th or 5th largest city. And it's by all accounts the most diverse in the country. So it's a fantastic place for the size of the city. It has a fantastic cost of living, and the stipend package from Baylor College of Medicine makes it a great place to live. And just to echo what someone else says about families, I had my wife and I had our first child during residency, and we had one fellowship and one afterwards, but it's a great place to have a family. I'm kind of jealous. I think it was Driscoll that had childcare on site. We do not have that. So I'm very jealous of Driscoll on that. Yeah, so I think that's everything. I know we're a little bit behind on time, so I will end early. Happy to answer any questions. I'll put my email in the chat as well. I'm sure everyone else will do that as well if people have particular questions. Yeah, go Texas, and thanks for listening.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I guess too, but I agree, Texas is the best. So our last presentation of the night is going to be from University of Texas Southwest Center in Dallas. So program representative, if you can please go ahead and unmute and begin your presentation.
Hey folks, my name is Jeff McKinney. I'm the program director at UT Southwestern. I've been here about 14 years now. I did not grow up in Texas, so I'm a transplant. And actually, those of you who have the screen with folks, one of our associate program directors, Dr. Okada, is on the screen, and that's a picture of the hospital in the background. I remember my dad coming down as I was deciding whether to take this job or not. And, you know, the scale and the size of things is pretty inspiring. Given the diversity of families and demographics here, we are consistently exposed to things that really make us think. Given the economic conditions here, this is a real place to make a difference. And so I still find it very, very exciting to get up every day and come to work. I'm an infectious disease doctor. We get to see amazing patients with almost everything you could imagine. Sometimes I go back to Robbins and Cotran to look things up. And then also, you know, with things like Parkland as a very vibrant county health system, and with our linkages with FQHCs and with community partnerships and advocacy organizations and NGOs, this is a place where you can really make a difference. And so I think some of the core values we have, it's big, but we pay attention to our colleagues and are really excited about individualized curriculum development. You get a chance to learn from your patients and from each other. I've never been somewhere where people have simultaneously been so bright and gifted and also just so kind. It makes things a joy to get to work with folks. We have a lot of partnerships across different departments. We have a PEDS neuro program, NDD. We just started a triple board program with PEDS, psychiatry, child psychiatry. We have a med PEDS program. We have a physician scientist training program. All of those relationships, I think, elevate the level of care that all of us give. And we've really tried to empower our residents. One of the joys of this job is getting to know what residents want to do. And in some cases, really just following their lead in terms of creating handcrafted electives. We have about 50, almost all of those I can trace back to individual residents that we designed them for. So it's a wonderful place to work, and it's an exciting place. We still really need pediatricians in this part of the country. And so if you come here, you will almost certainly have great job offers to stay. And then also, I think you're broadly respected no matter where else you might want to go. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to one of our chiefs. Dr. Prasad helped update our slides, and I think illustrates how much respect we have for our residents as leaders. I think she also has some original artwork behind her that she did. We bring a lot of interesting folks here. So I'll let her finish up, but you know, I'm really grateful for people for organizing this. As we remember COVID, I think people remember RNA vaccines And when people found a way to connect through these sorts of virtual networks, I think it's more just, I think it's more inclusive, and we're really grateful that you've organized this. I'll turn things over to Karen to finish it off.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. McKinney. I second everything that Dr. McKinney said, and I want to emphasize to you guys that we are high volume, and we also do education really well, and we support our residents. There are so many opportunities throughout residency where you get to collaborate with different classes and learn from the different classes. And just really unique experiences for reflection that are really, sprinkled throughout, like in our academic half days, which is protected educational time, where you get to talk to first years, second years, third years, and collaborate on things like ethics and advocacy topics and narrative medicine this year, not to mention just getting to do a simulation, how to resuscitate a patient and learn from your third year perspective and your second year perspective. So, that is my one plug I will add is that we are high volume, but we also do education really well.
It's a great environment to learn. People talk about how sticky certain education is. And, when you're figuring something out for your patient, it really does stick. And then we've been excited to let people pursue different scholarly projects. We actually have started a journal now because we thought it was of that caliber and see research, et cetera, et cetera. It's an exciting time and place.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. McKinney and Dr. Prasad, for that presentation about all that Dallas and UT Southwestern has to offer. So that concludes the program overview portion of the evening. Now we're going to open up the floor to a live Q&A. So if anyone prefers to be anonymous, you can go ahead and send me a personal message on the chat, and then I'll go ahead and read out your question to the program representatives. But if not, participants, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand or unmute to ask questions. Okay, so yes, I see a question. You can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Washrad Mani. I'm an IMD from Pakistan, currently rotating at New York Vedas Trial. My question is that how do you look at geosignaling, and would you interview someone outside of that region? And I would just like to know what the dynamic is between the faculty at your program and the residents, and how do you guys interact? Thank you.
Did you want a certain program to answer that, or us to give quick individual comments?
Yeah, so
it's
each,
for all the PDs.
Yeah, each program can go ahead and unmute and answer the question.
I can speak first. So I'm Dr. Fatima Gutierrez. For me, I look at them, but it's not necessary to do signaling for us to interview you. What I'm looking for is people who are interested, in taking care of border health, who are interested in being in a medium-sized program, who are interested in global health kind of opportunities. I think, our residents get along really well with our faculty. I think, we are able to text our faculty one-on-one. That's how we communicate with our residents. I think we're really receptive as a program to what our residents' needs are. So that's for our program in El Paso.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Dr. Huckabee at Driscoll. I agree, signaling we look at, it's not a requirement. We're looking for people who want our size program, who want to serve our patient population. Our faculty and residents have great relationships with each other. They are such strong mentors for our residents, and they work directly with our residents because we don't have any competing fellows. So there's really strong dynamics between the two with us.
Amber Harefield from UTMB. I echo the same. I think it's helpful sometimes to know who might want to be in the area or who might be a good fit, but definitely not a requirement. And also, similarly, our residents work really closely with our faculty also, so there's good relationship building there as well.
From Houston, basically same answer. I think signaling, I don't even think we looked at it at first. I think it was kind of at the very end, maybe when we were trying to make those last few decisions of who to put on which invite list or wait list or things like that, that it really came into. But we started off not really looking at it and tried to be as open and holistic as possible. And then I think even though we're such a large place, that there's great interactions between faculty and residents, and our faculty really enjoy teaching and being part of that mentoring relationship.
Signaling is still relatively new, and so we're figuring out. We were impressed by how often when people signaled, they really were interested in this particular place. So as you think about how you allocate those, and I think this came out of economics thinking, I think it's helpful. Not signaling in no way precludes us from looking at applications, but we've found that it's an interesting additive element. And then I think in terms of the way residents and faculty get along, I think the faculty are really inspired by the residents. We create this sort of friendly competition for people in different fields to attract talented physicians to their field and let them know what's gratifying about that. Now I'm writing letters for faculty promotion, and I just couldn't be prouder of them. So I think it's a very positive dynamic.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, all right, I see another hand. Jesse, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I wanted to ask you, what is the year of graduation that you consider a candidate for your program, for each of you? Thank you.
I'll start this. We don't have an exact cutoff, but we do look very hard at what sort of clinical experience has happened between graduation and time of application.
I can be the second. Yeah, we're very similar as well. We don't have a specific cutoff, but yes, we do value what has been done between graduation and now.
So for us, we look mostly for people who have graduated within 3 years, but if somebody's graduated outside of that time frame, then we're definitely open to looking at the application holistically.
Yeah, same for us. We don't have a particular cutoff, but again, it's looking at what experiences someone had from the time they did graduate until their application now.
I was sort of a late bloomer. I got a PhD and went overseas and worked for WHO, and so we have a soft spot for people that have taken a long and winding path. We do have frank conversations with people about, well, when was the last time you wrote a note? Or, how are ways that we can get you ready to go in our system? But, those different experiences, I think, have a potential to just really add to nuance as your physician. So we don't want to throw anybody into something they can't do. But elapsed time, I think oftentimes that just adds more facets to somebody's skill set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And then Priya, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hi everyone, I'm Priyadarshini. I'm an international medical graduate from India. Thank you for taking the time today to answer all of our questions. And my question is to all the PDs. So are there any strict step 1 score filters still used now since it has become pass or fail? So are there any strict filters that are still being used for step 1?
I can answer from El Paso. We don't have any strict filters. I feel like even if there's maybe a fail, there's usually maybe an explanation. So I think for any of that, what we look at is like explanations or anything like that, but we don't have a strict filter.
Same for Baylor. We don't have a strict filter for anything. We try to review each application through the same holistic process to try getting a sense of the applicant as a whole.
Yeah, I'd agree with that approach here in Dallas as well.
Agreed for us as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's also, I will say that there is an expectation to pass, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not going to get an offer to interview if they did not.
Okay, awesome. Looks like all the programs are on the same page on that. So next I saw a hand from Sai. You can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Good evening to everybody. Lovely presentations by the PDs. I really loved it. You all described about all of your beautiful features of your programs. I have one question about the personal statement. It says limited to 650 to 750. Would you read more than one page if it's an interesting story, or if it's like a bit boring? Do you like? Sorry, am I clear? The audio went out.
Yes, yeah, I understand. I will tell you from the PD perspective, I mean, we read all the applications. So sometimes that's a lot of applications. If it's a really interesting story and it's engaging, okay, maybe. But I think to be on the safe side, I would stick to one page.
Thank you.
I agree. I would stick to one page. I mean, it's an impossible assignment because there is no assignment. You're just supposed to write something. But with that being said, I think whatever you come up with, I think being succinct is a very important skill, not just for the application process, but probably for pediatrics in general.
Okay, oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
I went to school in Iowa City where they have the Iowa Writers Workshop, and I was not in it, but I had friends that were, and they had an interesting lesson for writing, which was your reader is going to have to carry the load that you give them. And so make it worth it, right? If you're going to, put a Volkswagen into the story, they're going to have to sort of carry that through the whole story. So I don't think length matters, but coherence, cogency. And then when I read essays, one of my fundamental questions is, what am I going to do with this person? Right? If they come here, how are we going to help them reach their potential? So, length I don't think is a lethal, but you want to have something that hangs together in a coherent way.
Thank you. Very insightful.
All right, and then Anjali, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Thank you all the PD for answering all the questions, and thank you so much for taking up time. My question is, so if someone, like I'm an immigrant, and if an immigrant has already done pediatric residency or has taken pediatric experience in like around 3 years or 4 years in their home country, how impactful that is, what kind of impact that does in their application? Do you consider that?
I can take that one. I think that's very impactful because that says that somebody has already been through the process. They've gone through pediatric residency. They get it. They understand what that means. And so while each applicant is their own person and their own application, I think that somebody who has already demonstrated that they have done that successfully is important.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I think, each person's story is unique. And so through your application, I think all the programs are trying to get to know you, what drove you to this point, what motivates you, what, how do you see pediatrics? How do you see pediatric medicine? And so, I don't think there's a program that's going to ignore prior training. Unfortunately, governing bodies in the country might make us do that. But we still value that experience and what you can bring to the table and the diversity of experience that you can offer both to our patients and our, your co-residents and our faculty.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with that, what everyone has said. And I think, I've heard multiple times the word used, holistic review, and I think that's just adds to, the holistic review of each application as well.
I mean, not to be too utilitarian about this, but we think about it, 2 a.m, you've got a group of 4 to 6 doctors taking care of a patient. What is one of them going to notice that the other one didn't? And particularly as an infectious disease person, there have been times when I've turned to colleagues and said, how many cases of dengue have you seen? Because this is how many I've seen, and does this fit? It does take a certain amount of grace and dignity to start over, right? And so, this can be hard on the ego, and finding the balance of, well, actually, I do know how to put it in chest tube, but now I'm an intern again. It's worked well here. It comes with its own challenges, but we found it really helps people take good care of patients.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for answering the questions. Looking forward to meet you all.
All right, so I promise I'm not ignoring all the questions in the chat. We have quite a few anonymous questions, so I'll go ahead and start reading those and see how many we can get through. So first question is, which programs accept US IMG residents?
So our program does, I would say we have a good mix of half IMGs, half US medical schools. So we have I would say a good mix.
And Driscoll is the same, a mix.
Also UTMB.
Yeah, we accept IMGs as well.
Yeah, so do we, and we've tried over time to get to know certain schools with a little more detail, although that's really true for all schools, right? What's a school known for and what are they expose people to?
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Next question is recommendations on picking top 10 experiences for that section on ERAS. How will programs be evaluating this area now that we have to pick only 10?
I mean, from my perspective, I think you want to pick things that are actually meaningful for you, because if you do interview with us, it's what I'm going to ask you about. So don't just put everything you've ever spent 2 seconds doing in that section. Put stuff that's truly meaningful, and it doesn't really matter if it's 1 or 2 things or 10 things. You want it to really mean something. You want to have something to say about it.
I'll echo that. And I think we have similar goals, right? I think we're trying to find a good fit on both ends, from the program end and also from the applicant end. And so the things that you think are going to be most important for you for a program to know about you. And also I'm looking for what are the things that you think are most important about the things that you've done, or the things that you've been involved in. And so the finding that good match or that good fit really is the common goal. So whatever the things that you think will help to make that happen best is how I would encourage you.
I agree. I think I would advocate for your application is your ability to tell your story. And so really thinking about what 10 experiences help tell that, where you've come from, where you want to go, who you see yourself as. Because I think one of the most important things in the match process is it is a match. You have some agency in deciding where you go. So the more honest you are, in your application with the program, the better that match will be. If you try and hide and think you're doing what the program wants, I think you run the risk of being somewhere that you don't want to be. And so take advantage of that agency and really do the things that are important to you. And if a program doesn't like that, that's okay. You probably weren't going to be happy there.
Yeah, of the things that have evolved over time with ERAS application process, this is one of my favorites. I mean, it's fascinating when you're going through a CV to have people say, these are the things that matter most to me. I wish all CVs were like that, because it really gives additional insight.
Okay, awesome. So this is going to be our last question. How much has your emphasis on scores evolved with step 1 being pass-fail?
I mean, I'm guessing probably most of the program directors here would agree that we know some phenomenal physicians who are terrible test takers, and wonderful pediatricians who are terrible test takers, and we recognize that. We have an application and scores to make some limited decisions on, so I'm not going to say that all of your USMLE scores are completely not important. We also have to, you know, produce residents who can pass their boards later, and knowing what their risks and how much support they'll need through that process can be really helpful for us when we're looking at the component of residents that we want to choose. But I think what you've heard over and over tonight is that programs are really looking at more holistic review of residents, and we are looking for what is a good fit for us, what is a good team for us, and what will be a good group of residents together, more than we're looking at any one specific piece of an application.
So I am curious about the things that you like and the things that you're good at. So, you know, when we're having a case conference and we're discussing the embryology of malrotation volvulus, I do miss the days when I had somebody's embryology grade, I had their anatomy grade. And so now we look through proxies for things like that. You know, if you're a TA, that says something. If you did research in a topic, that says something. Nobody's going to be great at everything, but it is nice to be able to think about, oh, this person's really into biochemistry or microbiology or public health. So that may be something that if we can't discern it from exam scores or grades, you might want to weave that through your application so it's not just completely opaque, because it's nice to imagine what could that person really run with.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much for answering our questions. So hopefully everyone got the chance to learn a bit more about what our West South Central and East South Central programs have to offer. So we just want to repeat again how grateful we are to all the program directors, coordinators, and other representatives who took the time to join us tonight. We now request that our program representatives kindly log off as we transition to our
President panel portion of the evening.
Welcome everyone. I think everybody has joined in. My name is Divya Kevaramani and my pronouns are she and her. I am currently a research fellow at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and I have the honor of being your moderator tonight. With me, I have Alex.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Aguirre. My pronouns are he, him. And I am currently working as an associate director of research, and I'll be working behind the scenes today.
Thank you, Alex. I would like to now invite our program representatives to please give a short presentation of the program for 5 minutes for the first part of the evening. Then we will take questions after the presentation. Attendees, you can however leave your questions in the chat as we go. We also encourage programs to make use of the chat to answer any questions they can in case we run out of time. To ensure that all programs are adequately represented, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes. When you hear my timer go off, as such, please begin to wrap up your thoughts, as that will signify that you have 30 seconds remaining. Our first program for the evening is University of Texas at Houston. If your program representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Awesome. Well, hi. Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Adriana Torres. I am one of the chief residents over at UT Houston. I have many things that I can say about my lovely program. The first is we'll talk about the facilities. So if you're looking for a robust breadth and depth of pathophysiology, you certainly are doing the right thing by coming to the Texas Medical Center. We've got a beautiful children's hospital. We are within kind of a conglomerate of hospitals, but we ourselves are a standalone entity. We've got all of the wonderful renowned services. Something that's special about us is that if you love the big Texas Medical Center kind of vibe, but you want a little bit of a smaller, more bite-sized program that will put a really big emphasis on your wellness and kind of support you in all of your endeavors, whether that be academic or otherwise, I think we're the people for you. I don't have to tell you about how wonderful our food is, so I won't even go into that. But one of the big highlights that we have been trying to perfect over the past couple of years is our curriculum. So you guys have heard about X+Y. Everyone knows it, everyone loves it. We have moved to a 4+1 dynamic, and we have seen robust changes in the amount of wellness in a great way. So I think that's going to be really something that everybody will love once you guys join us. We're very diverse, as is Houston. We really love everybody, and we make it a point to respect everyone who walks through our doors. So I think those are all of the big points for us. We speak for ourselves, but if you have any questions, please, I'd be more than happy.
We do have a dedicated time for Q&A sessions after all the presentations as well. In the meanwhile, attendees, just put in your questions in the chat if there is anything. Thank you so much, Dr. Torres. We appreciate it. Our next program for the evening is Texas Tech University Health Science Center's Lubbock. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. If your representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Yes, hi, I am Lisa Pomeroy. Can everyone hear me? Yay, perfect. And I am one of the associate program directors at TTUHSC here in Lubbock. And just so if anyone was confused, there are multiple campuses of Texas Tech Health Sciences Center. And so Lubbock is the main one. And then there's also a Texas Tech El Paso, Amarillo, Permian Basin. So it's a little bit confusing, but we are the program in Lubbock, Texas. And so Texas Tech, I think, is a really unique place. We cover a really wide region in West Texas. There's not a lot of things around us in terms of medical care. And so the next closest city to us is going to be like DFW. And so we are a really big hub for our region, even getting people from Eastern New Mexico. And so we do care for a really wide range of people and children, and a lot of rural kids too. So we pull from a lot of rural areas. We do have 2 children's hospitals. And so our one teaching hospital is with the University Medical Center. It's the hospital within the hospital for like the big university medical center for the city and region. And then we also have a freestanding Covenant Children's Hospital that serves the region as well. I think one of the big highlights for our program is our continuity of care clinic. It is a unique standalone clinic where all of our residents do their COC, and I'm the director, so I get really passionate about it. But for this reason, we have a fairly traditional COC and scheduling where you're coming to your clinic every week, unless you're on nights or you're on vacation. And so you really do get your own panel of patients and really do get to have that PCP experience. And we have really, really high rates of continuity for our residents. They see their own kids from like birth to 3 is our goal if they've recruited them from the nursery. And so they really do get to see that and grow with those families. We are growing a lot. And so a couple of things to highlight also are our new, we've had a PHM fellowship for 2 or 3 years now, and we are starting a new HEMOC fellowship. So our service areas just keep growing, and I think that benefits all of our education as well.
Thank you. Continuity of care clinics sound amazing. Thanks for the great presentation. Our next program for the evening is Baylor College of Medicine, San Antonio. If your representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Hi, thank you so much. This is a great opportunity. We really appreciate being invited to do this. So my name is Adam Wolf. I'm the program director for the Baylor program in San Antonio. And I have with us also tonight Brittany Harper, who's one of our chief residents, who also can help answer questions that come up.
Hi, everyone.
There she is. If anyone is thinking about cities in Texas to consider visiting, I would throw San Antonio heartily into the mix. I'm not a native San Antonian. I came here from the upper Midwest, but I've been here 9 years. I helped found our residency program, so it's been going on for 9 years. And it's just a delightful city to be in. I have 4 kids, and my wife and kids and I all really love the city. We fell in love with it when we first came. I would also, maybe not as for volume, but for quality, I would put us up against Houston for some of the food issues that were raised earlier, if we want to duke that one out. I would draw your attention of all the words on this slide to the program in 3 words that we picked down there at the bottom. So really the words we picked were supportive, resident-centered, and innovative. One of the things that I think is very distinctive is we also are X+Y. We just started that 1 year ago, so we're 1 year into it. I would echo what you've already heard, that the residents absolutely adore the schedule. Their morale is fantastic. Our schedule is a little different from the previous one you heard about. Ours is actually 4 + 2 + 2. So our residents have some 4-week blocks, they have some 2-week blocks, and then they have 2 weeks of Y block, which is continuity clinic. One of the innovative things we did was what we did with those Y blocks, and I wanted to draw your attention to that. It's basically 25% of your residency time spent in ambulatory pediatrics. So our residents get their continuity experience during those 2 weeks. They also have a longitudinal mental health care curriculum that goes all 3 years, where they learn about psychology, psychiatry, and then caring for patients in the general peds clinic with mental health concerns. We also have our acute care clinics in the Y block. We have our scholarly projects spread throughout the Y block, so you have 3 years to work on your projects. Our advocacy curriculum is built into that, and then so is our simulations curriculum. So we get a lot done in those 2 weeks that are otherwise lighter duty. 2 back-to-back golden weekends, no nights, and it really just focuses in on the day-to-day of ambulatory peds. The other thing that I wanted to just mention is a lot of opportunities for scholarship for our residents. So in addition to clinical research, which I think a lot of programs are going to be able to be very strong at, we also have longitudinal curricula for residents interested in medical education scholarship, advocacy scholarship, quality improvement scholarship. We have a culinary health certificate program for people interested in culinary health scholarship. So we've built a lot of different ways for you to meet the scholarly requirement based on whatever it is you want to do. So we try and build the curriculum really around what each resident wants. I will say that one thing that's great about San Antonio in general is that it's a rapidly growing population, as you may know, and we serve a lot of patients who otherwise are pretty underserved. And that's part of the reward of working at Christus Children's, which is the hospital we're partnered with here in downtown San Antonio. And I will just end by saying one of the questions that applicants ask a lot is, what makes an applicant or a resident successful in this program? And what I'll tell you is I think that the most successful, or at least the best rewarded residents, are the ones who come in able to articulate what their passions are and eventually translate those into their goals, and then work with us in a mentoring capacity to build the program around what they want. So we're evolving constantly, adding new rotations and curricula based on what our residents tell us that they need. And that's going to evolve as the needs of our community and the needs of our learners change. So that's what I mean by saying supportive, resident-centered, innovative. So I'll stop there and thank you again for being here and listening. Delighted to field your questions later.
Thank you. That was amazing. We love the quality improvement projects and the curriculum. Our next program for the evening is University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio. If your representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Hi, I'm Dina Tom. I'm one of the associate program directors at UT Health San Antonio, and I'm very happy to be joined by our program director, Dr. Michelle Arandis, with us. She's waving, and our chief resident, Dr. Rachel Lyman. She's also here to answer any questions, and Dr. Lyman will also be around for the breakout after the fact with the residents. So I am a total diehard UT Health San Antonio groupie. I went to med school here, residency here, and now I'm APD, and I could not tell you more, wonderful things about this program. So I'm going to focus on highlights. So we are a mid-sized program. We take 15 residents a year. We this year got rid of 24-hour calls. So our interns don't have any 24-hour call, and we're transitioning over the next year to be able to do kind of incorporating X+Y more into our schedule to be ready for that when all programs are able to in a year. So our hospital is University Hospital in San Antonio, which is the county hospital of San Antonio that serves the county. So we serve an area of about 6 million people all south of us. In Texas. We are a level 1 trauma center. So as pediatric residents, you guys would get to take care of, and we are fortunate enough to co-manage surgical trauma patients and other surgical patients, which is a really great experience. We are also have a level 5 NICU, and we do ECMO in our PICU and our NICU, and our residents follow ECMO patients. We also, I think one of the things we pride ourselves on is that our residents get a lot of autonomy with support. So we are always around as faculty. We expect phone calls. We expect to be, that's part of the collaborative nature of our faculty. And one of the reasons why when I interviewed everywhere, I ended up, wanting to stay in San Antonio, because we have this wonderful relationship with our residents that we see each other as colleagues, really just in different levels of training. So we also, like Dr. Wolf mentioned, get very, very comfortable our residents get very comfortable taking care of complex chronically ill patients and immigrant patients, because we care for a large population. Being the public hospital in San Antonio, we end up being a catch-all for a lot of patients who get transferred to us from the border and from other places who have those special needs. Our chair, pediatric chair, Dr. Seidner, is very involved in the residency program in a fabulous way. So it's one of his crown jewels is that he really cares about advocating for residents. So, you will get free parking, free food. He pays for, we support the med study course for board review. Board review is incorporated through all 3 years to prepare you for your boards. And then an opt-out mental health program. We have a huge wellness program that's our residents are all a part of, and we have faculty sponsorship for all of that. And then we are also applying to open up our PHM fellowship this next year. So we're really excited that we're going to have another fellowship to add to the many we already have. So our 3 words that we use to describe our program is family, because we really feel like we're all kind of part of this together. Advocacy and mentorship. We really want our residents to feel supported and well. The other big announcement, exciting thing is that we are opening our Women and Children's Hospital imminently. So we are very excited to get into it. This is a brand new tower that's attached to our university hospital, and it will be all women and children's. And so it's very exciting that we will have that as our our beacon, and then also be able to still have all of the resources of being in a large quaternary care hospital. So unless I left anything out, I'm happy to take questions, and so are the colleagues with me.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. Congratulations on the new hospital. And I spied pickleball tournament there, so I'm kind of excited about that.
That's right. Faculty took it this year. That was exciting.
Thanks again. Our next program for the evening is University of Tennessee Health Science Center. If your representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Emily Dobish, one of the APDs at the other UTHSC, University of Tennessee Health Science Center in Memphis, Tennessee. And with me today are two of our associate program directors, Drs. Jason Yan and Dr. Stephen Fishko, as well as our rising chief resident, Dr. Carrie Rayborn, and then our program director joining us from her vacation in Turkey, Dr. Vindia Baga. So she's here as well. Our residents rotate through an even odd schedule where they alternate inpatient and outpatient months, and they don't do any clinic when they're on their inpatient months. We think that really allows them to be fully committed and fully immersed in the rotation that they are on. We also have a huge wellness focus. We have a resident-led wellness committee that coordinates multiple wellness events, both throughout the workday and then outside of the workday. And then Dr. Baga is one of the wellness champions at UT, and she leads multiple resident wellness initiatives, including wellness morning reports and building resiliency within the residents, and then debriefs after intensive care unit rotations. Our hospital is a Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. It's a freestanding children's hospital that's a level 1 trauma center and a level 4 NICU. And our residents participate in the care of all of the pediatric patients admitted to the hospital in all of the different specialties. And nearly all of the fellowships are represented at our hospital. Our residents have an excellent match rate into fellowships, and they match into their top choice for fellowship, whether that is staying at our own program at UT in Memphis or going to really any program in the country. They go wherever they want to go. Our residency also is really fortunate to partner with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which I'm sure many of you know and have heard of, and they are, world renowned for care of pediatric oncology and pediatric hematology. Residents spend 2 months in their second year for their hemonc training, and they also can spend more time in terms of elective time and participating in research with the colleagues over at St. Jude. We also have a lot of advocacy that our residents can participate in. Two I'll just mention briefly is Dr. Yan, who's on the call, is the president of Tennessee AAP, which is one of the best AAP chapters and leads a lot of advocacy initiatives through that. And then I lead our medical legal partnership, Memphis Child, which we think is both of those are really unique to our program. Our program also has a large commitment to diversity with our JEDI committee. They lead a lot of educational opportunities, including health equity rounds over a noon conference that is interdisciplinary, and they lead a lot of community outreach initiatives, and residents are active parts in planning and carrying out all of that. And then finally, our city of Memphis. We love it. We love Memphis. We say once you come to Memphis, it's a part of your soul. We have an excellent food scene. We have a lot of sports teams, including the Grizzlies as our NBA professional team, a great live music scene. And then for our metropolitan area, which is over 1 million, we have a really low cost of living. Residents can buy a house if they want to. And they also have a really pretty low traffic commute, especially considering how large our city is. And then we're really proud of our patient population. It is both a rural and an urban underserved population with the areas that we serve. And there's just a really huge chance for residents to have a huge positive impact on the children and families of Memphis. And we're really honored to take care of them. And we look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. And the Tuberous Sclerosis Center of Excellence is unique. I've never seen that before, so that's awesome. Thank you. Our next program for the evening is University of Mississippi Medical Center. I am so sorry about that. If your representative could please unmute and tell us a little about you.
Hey y'all, can y'all hear me okay? Great. So I am Dr. Jarrett Morgan. I am one of the assistant program directors at University of Mississippi Medical Center. I also have Dr. David Gillum, who is another APD, also at UMMC, so he can wave and throw his 2 cents in right near the end. I have been at UMC for all of my training, and I can truly say by the time I finished, I was well equipped to handle a lot of what came to through my door. And so that's ultimately the goal of any residency, to have good general training, and I can say that that's what you get at UMC. So beautiful thing about our program, we are the only children's hospital in the state. And although Mississippi is a little bit smaller state, that has a huge area to draw upon. And so we have quite a large population from a rural and more city-based settings to draw in outside of a couple of areas up north and in the Southwest. So concerning our goals are kind of almost threefold base. So number one, of course, is to have great clinical experience. And so, of course, like I mentioned, because we draw on such a large area, we see quite a bit of the bread and butter, but we also see quite a few zebras as well. So a lot of congenital heart diseases, a lot of neurologic diseases, a lot of genetic illnesses that have either been picked up on the newborn screen, or some that have kind of slipped through the cracks. And so from the standpoint of being able to see how you take care of the routine things, but also some of the more rare things, is a privilege to quite a few residents. Not just general care, of course, but what about specialty care? We maintain a very close relationship with our different specialties, such as cards, endocrine, NICU, PICU. One of the great things about our state is that, or our institution, is that we recently had a state-of-the-art tower built to house new NICU, PICU, and different specialty clinics. So it's very much a privilege for those patients and for our residents as well, just to see more state-of-the-art care and state-of-the-art housing for those patients as well. Not just clinical experience, but also education. We, of course, are a part of our larger academic institution at UMMC. So we have plenty of rotators coming in that can add particularly other perspectives. So anesthesia, family medicine, adult ER, some of the more local med students as well, or residents as well, to rotate through. We have a med school that our residents are very integrated in, and so plenty of opportunities to do small groups, participate in preceptorships to just further hone your educational skills. And of course, one of the newer things as well, which I actually forgot to mention, is our newer clinical educator track, which we're entering into our second year, which is a great opportunity just, again, to further hone your educational skills. We are clinicians, but we're also educators, right? So we have to educate everyone, including our patients. Also, setting up people up for success. And so we typically have no issue. I think other programs have mentioned that, but typically no issue getting our residents matched. We have 5 fellowships here at UMMC. So rheumatology, NICU, PICU, PTR, and rheumatology. That residents can, of course, we would love to have them stay here, which plenty of them do, but plenty go off. So we have people all the way west in California who have matched, or up in New York as well, that typically people have no issue getting matched. And of course, healthy even split between those who want to do primary care as well. So a lot of them do end up staying in the state, or at least returning home to a lot of the local surrounding states like Georgia and Alabama. Pretty healthy mix. So again, from my experience, I love it here. I think we are the definition of Southern hospitality, as was alluded to, for the Southwestern or Southeastern states. So we maintain a very close relationship, not only amongst ourselves as faculty, but faculty to residents. It is rare that you have such a very close relationship where you can just text if you need to, and people won't hound you, which is great. No one wants to be hounded for calling their attending at 3 a.m. So with that, that is about all the high points I had. Dr. Gillum, if you want to throw in anything, or if not, we'd be happy to take some questions at the end.
That's good. That was great. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. I see house to pick up and I'm excited already. I think, is there any other program here that we are missing? I know these were the only ones on the list, but since this is our last regional webinar, we've been getting a lot of last minute requests. Yes, Dr. Thurston, I see you. If you want to share your screen and present your program.
Hi, I don't see our slide. My name is Dr. Carla Garcia, and I'm the program director for the sister program of University of Tennessee College of Medicine, as set for We're Out in the East Coast. Somehow our presentation slide got lost in translation somewhere, but I want to tell you a little bit about our great program. I know that technically we only have 9 residents per class, which may fall into the small size, but we really consider ourselves more like a medium-sized program because we really function more like a medium-sized program. We have an independent tower for our children's hospital, in addition to an independent women's and infants tower. We have a level 4 NICU and PICU at our institution, and right across the street is our brand new Children's Kennedy Outpatient Center, which houses the resident pediatric continuity clinics, as well as all the subspecialty outpatient center, including our brand new pediatric dedicated MRI, dental suites, endoscopy suites, as well as a full laboratory, radiology, et cetera. So everything in a one-stop shop for our patients in a beautiful outpatient building. One of the perks of our program is that we do not have any fellows. As a result, then our residents get to work directly one-on-one with our faculty in every single subspecialty. And did I mention, we have just about every single subspecialty represented at our institution, except for pediatric cardiac surgery, and we do not have transplantation services. You would think that being in the South End, Chattanooga, that we wouldn't be diverse, but that is completely the opposite. We have a very diverse ethnic, racial, socioeconomic patient population. Lots of pathology, but lots and lots of bread and butter pediatric, lots of different acuity. We take care of the majority of the medically complex patients in our region, and we have a catchment area of about 150-mile radius. So that means we get patients from North Georgia, North Alabama. We have patients that are coming down from Knoxville and from the Nashville area, and we even go as far as Western North Carolina as well. This provides an incredible diversity of pathology and diversity in culture and diversity of population. We are also a bridge refugee center, which means that, of course, that brings in more diversity to our beautiful city. We have Spanish as our #1 language after English, of course. But then after that, you wouldn't believe it, it's Arabic, Swahili, Vietnamese, and even other different languages as well. We are a X+1 program where we do 3 weeks of an immersion into a specific elective or inpatient service, followed by a 1-week immersion into the ambulatory care experience. That ambulatory care experience includes all of your continuity clinics, acute care clinics. You have independent study time, scholarly activity time, as well, including your didactics. We have very minimal 24-hour shifts. I know there are other programs that are getting rid of their 24-hour shifts for their interns. We only have 4 for the entire year, which makes for great work-life balance. Our residents love the X+Y schedule. If we went back to the older schedule, they would absolutely have a mutiny. They love the fact that it provides them with multiple golden weekends, especially when they are on electives. And they tell me they can do anything for 3 weeks. You're guaranteed to get a great mentor that will be with you for the 3 years. We have wonderful monthly wellness programs, and we've actually been highlighted nationally because of our wellness program. We have a very up-to-date organized curriculum, but the beauty of it is that it's very, very individualized. No 2 residents have the same exact schedule because we have a variety of electives that our residents can choose as they prepare for their final career, whether it's going into fellowship or going into general pediatrics. One of the things that is very special about our program is that we are the very first pediatric program to have a lifestyle medicine curriculum. That means that when you graduate from our program, you can sit for the lifestyle medicine pediatric boards right after you sit for your general pediatric boards. And it's already, if you choose to be part of the program, which is an optional opt-in, you can then have rotations scheduled accordingly to be able to complete all the requirements for your lifestyle medicine certification. Our faculty, bar none, we outnumber you 2 to 1, which means that we are very, very engaged and committed to mentoring your research projects, mentoring your QI projects, and mentoring you holistically, whether it be emotionally, psychologically, or in your academic lifestyle. Lots of scholarly QI and advocacy opportunities. Our residents love to go to Tennessee AAP Day on the Hill and make a mark and let their voices be heard. We have lots of advocacy opportunities within our community. In fact, community service and advocacy are requirements of service in our are at our institution. We have had some new global health rotation opportunities. We've been to Kenya and Ecuador, and we have one planned for Honduras this year. Our residents have certainly enjoyed those opportunities. And just to let you know, we are about a 50-50 program, 50% fellowships, 50% go into Gen Peds, and 100% match rate to whatever fellowship you like to go to. Chattanooga is a great place to live, lots of outdoor activities, lots of places to eat, one new restaurant every single day of your intern year. And one of the special things that we do based on the right, we have skip day. You never know when the program director, that's me, is going to give you a skip day, and you get to go have fun 1980s style in a roller skating ring with your entire class. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share about my program.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garcia, and we sincerely apologize about the misunderstanding, and we are glad you could present. This concludes the program overview portion of the evening. Now we will open up the floor to a live Q&A session. If anyone prefers to remain anonymous, please feel free to send Alex or I a personal message, and we will address your question to the program representatives. The first question I'm seeing is, any advice on how an applicant should signal? Program directors, please feel free to unmute and answer.
I'm going to take a stab at that, and I'll bet every PD would give you a different answer to that question, because frankly, I don't think we know. We know that last year when signals were first introduced, that a lot of people used them. That was actually my question when we were getting those applications, was how many people are actually using them? It turned out that almost everybody used them. So we have that advice that probably you're going to use signals, but I don't know that any programs have really publicly said, here's how we plan to use signals. I think a program is going to read your signal as a genuine interest in being considered for an interview there. I think that's going to have meaning this year because we have data from last year. The bigger question, which is probably what you meant, is how do I pick which programs to signal? And I think that that's going to be extremely difficult when you only have 5 to go on. I saw an earlier question in the chat that many programs that host you as a visiting medical student for a sub-I or something might advise you not to bother signaling because they figure they're going to interview you anyway. That's a very reasonable thing to do. A lot of people's home medical schools are saying, don't signal our program because we're going to expect that you want to come here. So that frees you up a little bit. The advice I've heard, which I think I like the best, is just do your best to figure out where you want to be. I think that you're going to find that despite all these really great things about all of our programs, you're going to become an outstanding pediatrician no matter where you go. So look carefully at what the life you will lead will be like in those places. What's the culture like? What kind of support will you have? And try and make your decisions based on those things. I think that's the most important stuff. But I'm interested in hearing how other people plan to answer that question.
No, I would echo that, Dr. Wolf. I think Dr. Aranda's here from San Antonio as well. I think it's fair to ask that question in places where you may be spending time, if you have somebody that you can reach out to. I do think that, program directors tend to know what people apply to their programs from what regions and those types of existing relationships. And so if there is an obvious lack of tie to a program, but you have a reason that you are quite interested in it, I think that is probably the most powerful use of a signal to alert a program director that might not be able. We're pretty innovative about how we look at these, and we're pretty good at sniffing out the clues that you might be connected or interested in our programs. But if there's no obvious place, I think that's a good way to utilize your signal. And I agree. I think utilize your signal in a meaningful way for programs that you truly are considering, or you really want to see and you feel like there may not be an opportunity to see otherwise.
That makes sense. That was really good advice. Thank you so much. Our next question is, how does your program review the impactful experience section while reviewing applications?
Holistically, thoughtfully, I don't know. All the program directors are smiling. We look at so many, and I'm happy to have somebody else speak, but the silence is deafening. So I'm going to take a stab at saying that I think I always tell people that what I'm looking for in these extra pieces, it used to be the letters, is something that gives your application 3 dimensions and takes it out of the realm of 2 dimensions and tells me a little bit about who you are as a person and how you view yourself. Because what a lot of us are looking for is a person to whom we are going to be able to provide what they need for their training, and that they are going to, thrive in our program. And we know our own strengths, we know our own opportunities. And so just think about those as telling me something about you that isn't quite as obvious from the list of your many, many accomplishments and experiences, and tell me a little bit about what you want me to know about you because of those experiences.
I'll just add to that and say that I agree with everything, that if you write something, be prepared to talk about it. Sometimes people put things, and then when we ask them, because you're actually inviting us to talk about it, and then you shut down. So not you in general, but you know what I mean. So I think write about something that you would want to talk about, and that your passion when you talk about it truly shows. Like mentioned earlier, it's something that gives us a glimpse into you a little bit deeper.
I guess one more thing, sorry to echo
Go
that.
ahead, please.
Totally agree with what everyone else has said so far, but also don't think that it has to be like this grandiose thing. It can be something very personal to what happened for you. We as programs do have some particular ideas about what things that we want in our residents, but for you, when you're thinking about it, make it very personal. So even if it is a simple thing about a childhood experience, or your experience with the doctor, or of course, plenty of things from COVID era, make it very personal. And of course, like the lady mentioned, something that you can talk about when we interview.
Thank you so much. That makes perfect sense. Our next question is, what ways do you recommend appropriately expressing strong interest in the program besides signaling? Like, do we accept letter of interest, or is there a better way to express interest?
I was told that the reason that ARIS started adopting program signaling was to try and cut back on the letters of interest, although that doesn't help you answer this question. I think many programs that I'm used to communicating with don't put a lot of stock in those letters of interest, but I do think that I like this comment here, that you can personalize your personal statement, or you can make it clear. You can write a comment next to your geo preferences, explaining why you want to be in a certain place, and you can have up to 3 of those, which, by the way, 3 geo preferences can cover, I think it's 26 of the states if you pick them carefully. So I mean, you can use those tools to, within the formal application, include your interest in lots of different places. I think that most programs are really going to want to weight what you say in your ARIS application instead of extra communications that you might send. At least that's the way I approach it. But again, I'm interested in what others are doing.
I must agree that personalizing your personal statement, like my wonderful program coordinator put up there, is an opportunity to show your interest, and all the things that the Baylor PD just mentioned. I think extra letters of communication are not necessary, because the program leadership that's representative here, we tend to not put as much weight to those, because everyone pretty much says the same thing, that we're your number one top choice. So as a result, I think put extra effort into making a good personal statement, a good ARIS application, that the deadline's coming up really soon. And I think that's where your most bang for your buck is going to come from.
And I do think if you are expressing interest in a program, by whichever one of those mechanisms, being somewhat specific about why, what it is about that program that makes it appealing to you is helpful, because again, mission fit and vision fit are a great way to ensure you're going to be in a place that's allows you to thrive.
Hey
Right.
y'all,
This is Emma, Program Director at UT Houston. I want to say we get a lot of emails, especially once we start interviewing, because we get a lot of thank you letters. And so things do get lost. I agree at the end of the day, a strong application is good, but we're human beings, so we miss things. So if there for any reason you have a partner who's in medical school or something, feel free to send the email. Don't hesitate. And also use the network. I mean, the residents are on various forms of social media, and they can also advocate for you if need be.
And that jogged my memory. It's not part of the ARIS application, but the other types of emails that I'm used to getting, which are absolutely kosher and you should do it, is if you happen to be couples matching and you have a partner who's looking in that same city. Actually, last year, we had an applicant whose partner was applying to another institution in our city in another specialty who didn't have an interview. And I had no relationship to that program's leadership. But when I reached out to them, we discovered that this partner had never applied to that program. He had put the wrong program number in. And so we actually fixed the error. They interviewed him, they loved him, and we matched both of them to our city. So like, that's rare that would happen, but definitely take advantage of communication if you're interested in a place and you have that couples match thing going on, because that's a challenging situation.
And I'm going to say one thing as somebody who before being APD did fourth year advising and curriculum development and applications help for fourth year students is this is not, all this advice is fabulous advice, but please don't go all the way to making 10 or 15 different personal statements, or, you know, feeling like that's the only way you're going to get interviews, or the only way you're going to get ranked. No program is going to know that you had a generic personal statement for all but one program, because we don't know what each other get. So it's totally acceptable to have a personal statement for the program that you really want to be at that's personalized, and then having one that goes out to everybody else that's also very authentic and genuine, but doesn't specifically mention. So you can run into you know, it would be horrible to run into the predicament of having sent your personal statement to the wrong place. And so I would advise you to be careful about that and judicious, and that really the match system is meant to prioritize your your preferences. So anyway, that's just tossing that in there, that this is not, all this advice is great, but it's also not meant to make you feel like your application has to be tailored to every program, or you're not going to match, or you're not going to get interviews.
Those were all really crucial pieces, specifically since application is opening tomorrow, and I know every candidate here is just as nervous. One fun question to lighten up the mood that we do every webinar is, what would your program's theme song be?
No.
I'll take a stab and steal it before anybody else does. David Gillen from Mississippi. Where everybody knows your name from Cheers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We have one central lounge. You know everybody. All the residents know each other. You know all of the core faculty. I'm going to go with that.
Before anyone steals our thunder, we want to say, we are family.
That is a really good one too.
I'll say the Friends theme song. But the first thing genuinely that popped into my head was the Keystone Cops music. But that was actually just with sarcasm. So.
Okay, my chief resident might come up with something better, but we were talking about Beyonce coming to Houston, and obviously she's a Houstonian. So I just came up with Crazy in Love, because we love each other. We're a little bit crazy, but we're our own kind of crazy.
I love all of them.
I just texted my program director who couldn't be here, and she said, "Stand by me." And I thought that was really sweet.
Wow, they are all amazing. Okay, since we are approaching the end of the hour, we have time for one last question. I see there's one in the chat which says, is it okay to do couples matching if you are US IMGs?
I mean, I think it's okay. I think you have to be thoughtful about broadening your, your scope of applications to ensure that they line up with the fields that you're interested in, and perhaps, and your counselors, whoever they may be. If you don't have those, I highly recommend trying to find somebody to help mentor you through navigating that. But just being perhaps a little bit broader, since each of those variables does, make it slightly more challenging. You want to have as many options as possible. So that might be one of the exceptions to the rule of applying to a few more programs than would otherwise have been recommended for you.
Thank you. I see one more question, which has been very sensational everywhere, is that for the activities section, do you prefer reading paragraph or bullet points?
I had a student ask me this question today, and I think the answer I gave him was, I think you should do it in whatever way feels like you're communicating what you want people to know. I mean, I've been reading fellowship applications in the new format, and I've seen about half people doing bullets and half doing paragraphs. And honestly, I don't find it any harder to read one or the other, or easier. So I think that I think your best bet is going to be to communicate in the way that tells your story most effectively. So if you have one umbrella activity and then did a bunch of things under it, maybe a bullet list. If you have a particular feeling or passion about something you did, maybe a narrative would be better. I don't think you're going to find any program that tells you you must do it a certain way or should do it a certain way.
Makes sense. Thank you for all the amazing advice. Hopefully everyone got a chance to learn a little bit more about what our East and West South Central programs have to offer. We want to repeat how grateful we are to all the program directors, coordinators, and other representatives who took the time to join us tonight. We will now request our program representatives to kindly log off as we transition into our resident panel portion of the evening.